Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Getting ready to talk about some Splinterlands. It's my first live in about 10 days or so. We were away last week. My family and I went to Vancouver, and so as maybe some of you know, I did some content, but it was with my road kit. It was not conducive to a live. I was kind of hoping I could squeeze one in, but no, the internet was questionable, and I was working off my phone. That would have been pretty dicey. So it's been a week or so, maybe almost 2 weeks. I don't remember the last day exactly, but yeah, I want to hang out for a couple hours and just talk about Splinterlands. There's so many things going on, like that land update. The new reward cards have been finalized and have started to be released. I'm starting to get some of them, and they're pretty crazy. Like, what else? There's just even better understanding what the fight like that. There was a 2-minute comment that I want to share, and I've talked about once before in the video summarizing the land update from the recent town hall, but there's a 2-minute conversation where Aggie talks about $200 million worth of value been created through this game, and now they're turning over the printing presses to the players. And I think that analogy, one, holds water, and two, is so astonishing that I want to walk through his quote and just talk with you guys about it. So land, reward cards, just lots of things. So how you guys doing? What's going on out there? Matthew, I see you out there, buddy. Appreciate you popping by. And look, I figured out my comment screen overlay so we can feature some of these guys. Matthew's been around forever. Been commenting and supporting the channel. Appreciate you, bro. Steve's out there. Good to see you, buddy. Steve, we got to plan another live, just where we hang out and we talk Splinterlands. It'd be great on your channel. I'm happy to do it. Let's try and schedule something so I can come over. We can just there's so many new things happening. Let's go back and forth on what your opinions are and things, and same with me. Eli's here. Good to see you, buddy. I'm certainly well. I'm certainly swell, in fact. Yeah, man, things are good. The kids are actually Lumina's at school. Lumina's good. She's out at school with her nurse, which is her normal. She gets to go with the nurse because of her seizure condition. Hazel is here. She's got a little cough, and we're just being, I guess, abundance of caution with her. And then my wife is pretty under it. Unfortunately, she's got a really bad cough that's keeping her up at night, and then sore throat because of all the coughing. But it's not COVID, and it's not, I don't think anything crazy. So that's that. But I'm well. I will enjoy every second of the same. I love it. Appreciate you. Deus, good to see you, buddy. We all just jumping from After Sound stream to Dwayne's. We might be too addicted to Splinterlands. I was watching After Sound stream. I couldn't comment because I didn't want to derail some of the, because I know whenever I comment on the lives, it's it starts to be hey Dwayne, what's going on? And I just want to hear what he has to say. I was listening about, what were we talking about? I was even taking some notes. He was talking with about Possibilis, and it sounds like he doesn't really, After Sun doesn't really like Possibilis. I like him, but listening to Luthien and him talk about Possibilis, I guess she likes him and he doesn't so much. The Fog of War nerf that what's his name? I'm gonna forget his name. Investigator from the team, Splinterlands team, he revealed that they're changing how Fog of War will interact with Opportunity, and to me that's a massive nerf for Possibilis. So let's talk about that today. But yeah, I was watching, guys, you pop from After Sound over to here. I'm watching After Sound. I'm taking notes. I'm going live. I'm talking about you. You know what I mean? I'm right there with you in terms of it's so exciting, isn't it? Bobby, here from the beginning this time. I appreciate you, dude. Butters, dude, good to see you. Yeah, old school videos these days, the past couple of days, Bobby. Got rocking the cell phone, but I've been trying to step it up a little bit in a few ways. I got the ring light. It's portable. I can put that in my backpack when I go on vacation. When I went to Vegas, I brought that thing. I've got a mic, so it's a bit better audio. I'd probably need an even better mic for the road kit. I might like to get a better camera. I have a really nice digital SLR camera, but man, it's a bit of an encumbrance to bring that thing. So I'm trying to like figure it all out and like maximize the efficiency both at home and on the road. And even today, like adding in I was listening to, like I said, I was watching After Sounds live, and he's got the pop-up comments. And then I know Walking Keys and Gank do the pop-up comments, and I know StreamYard can do that. This is a little comment to, I'm pretty sure Keys uses StreamYard. I'm pretty sure After Sound uses StreamYard. Just a little comment to these guys. I've wanted that, but I didn't want to figure out StreamYard. And then StreamYard is there's a financial cost to it. So there's an OBS. This is just a comment to all the YouTubers. You can do it for free through OBS, and it's really quite easy. I could share that video if anybody's curious. Can't wait to watch the Soulbound reward cards fights. Yeah, I'd like to see that become part of the meta, right? It's going to keep adding to what we already enjoy and changing what we think we know. Like I was talking with yesterday, I did almost a 2-hour live event with Ben and Kieran. What's their podcast called? Splinterlands. Oh man, I know their real names. I even know their in-game names, but B Jangles and Wascal Rabbit, and I forget what their podcast is called. But anyways, we met up yesterday on Zoom. We did a 2-hour conversation about Splinterlands, and we were talking about how the new Chaos Legendary Astral Entity is radically changing. Like it's brand new. And it's already having implications for different cards. Like if you look at the Pellicor Deceiver and how it has flight, and it's also got this backfire, and it's got a good amount of speed. Well, you throw dodge on it, and then you maybe bring a blind in there somewhere, and suddenly it becomes this amazing sneak attack defender, or maybe even a primary tank. And so my point is, Matthew's talking about like how the reward cards are going to fight and engage, and watching what that's going to look like. But then not even just the reward cards, as every new card comes to the game, it just transforms others in new synergies and creates these sort of interesting new looks and opportunities. Okay, can we try to set that up? And yeah, man, send me a Discord message, and probably next week I have time now. And I'm pretty flexible. If evenings are good for you, evenings are usually. But then we'll figure. I will make it happen. I can squeeze something, and we just gotta give me a couple days that might work for you, and I'll give you a couple days that will work for me. Martyr. I haven't really utilized Martyr. I haven't seen it in effect, to be honest. But I do love the idea of it. Is there a Martyr? Actually, I want to see. Is there a Martyr that has taunt? There is, isn't there? I think there is. Go buy. Close that out. Rewards. Monsters. And then we want to go. Oh, is that the only reward card with taunt? I guess it is. Okay, so we go rewards and we remove taunt. What? Why is Martyr not? Oh, because you know what? It's not showing up on here because it's not soulbound. My bad. Okay, so I got to go over to Splinterlands and I go over to here. I can't search the same exactly, but I can go rewards. Let's go to, I can't buy them. So I got to go into my own cards. We got to go all cards. And then, oh, how would I? It would have to have at the level I hold, like at level 1 or level 2, where I've already maybe earned it, or if I haven't earned it but it's there, it would have to have Martyr and maybe Taunt. And I think there, at a higher level, I'm pretty sure there is one like that. You got Martyr on the fungus flinger. Is there a quick, easy way to search if there isn't really, right? You can't search Martyr in here on Splinterlands system. You can search it with Peak Monsters, but I can't buy those cards, so they wouldn't show up in Peak Monsters. But yeah, Martyr seems like absolutely nuts in the sense of like just adding buff to everybody next to it. But to me, it would be primarily beneficial if you were able to, I think this one might have, this has Taunt. Does this have, yeah, there we go, Martyr at level 3. So this card to me is one that will be particularly powerful at this Martyr effect, because you can place it where you want to place it. Say you want it between, like, imagine on the white team, you put it, it's a magic monster, so it can go in the back line or toward the back line. I picture this in like the fifth, in like a 99 mana match. You put Iziar, I'm going to call him, I'm going to pronounce that Iziar. You put this in the 5th spot. It's dropping magic damage, 3 magic at the higher levels. You've got, you know, it's a relatively resilient backline tank and distraction. Taunts are, you know, always great because it lets the primary tank, your first tank, get to work. So you might put like a that unicorn on the white team that does trample and high melee damage in the first position. One of the weaknesses of that unicorn is that it's a bit vulnerable. It doesn't have void or anything like that. And so you put something like that that's quite strong and could do a lot of damage in the first position with a taunt in the back position, and then position this near 2 other support monsters that you really want to see, you know, thriving. Whether it's, you know, heck, you could put Rooney behind this thing or near this thing. You could put, what else would I want to put next to it? Maybe I'd want to put, Feral Spirit, because there's a whole sneak attack play you could try, and you would be amping your sneakers. So, man, taunt, controlling where the Martyr is maximally positioned, and then the magic enabling you to play it in that rear, which is so key. Love it. Blaze, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Thanks, man. Let's see, where were we? You like, Bobby likes Possibilis. Me too, dude. I think, I'm surprised to hear, you know what I think, Bobby, and everybody, guys, tell me if you think this is true or not. Like, give me a, you know what, let's do a quick poll. We're going to do a poll, start poll. How do I want to phrase this? My thought is that summoners that are more modern, that are like newly circulated or that are currently circulating, I think we often believe that they are less powerful or less valuable simply because they're current, like they're in circulation, like we're getting them for either free or for relatively inexpensive. And so it takes a bit of time for that like complacency to erode. And what I mean is, when Chaos Legion, for instance, stops being, you know, $2.50 on the peer-to-peer market, or $4 from Splinterlands, and you can't get these summoners, Possibilis, Wraith, you know, all of the Chaos Legion legendaries, you can't get them for relatively cheap or through airdrops for free, then I think we'll start taking it seriously. So the question is, like, are we sleeping on Chaos Legion summoners, I'm going to say legendary sums, or not? And I guess, are we giving it proper respect? Like, are we pricing them appropriately? Or are we sleeping on them value wise? Like, and again, remember, value is different than price. Let's see what you guys think about that. I get the feeling that we are sleeping on them, in the sense of we don't properly respect them because their price is, you know, relatively affordable. When I say relatively affordable, I mean compared to some of the old summoners, and you think, well, Kitty is like $400 a BCX. That card is amazing. And there's almost a self-fulfilling argument happening there where Kitty is $400. And so it has to be amazing. Everyone agrees it's amazing. And that kind of supports your own opinion about how great it is. I'm not saying it's not great, it is. But then we look at a card like Grandmaster Wraith, who is selling for about $20 a BCX, and I think we would never compare it. We would never say Grandmaster Wraith is in the same caliber as a Kitty. We would say it's a totally different quality, I think. Most people would. And I'm starting to think that that's almost entirely a product of we are taking these new ones for granted. We think they're always going to be in circulation. Some part of us, like, we don't ever think about it really. And I think you've seen the price of Grandmaster Wraith, for instance, go from, I think, $14 about a month ago to $20 today. And I think we're starting to get it. And I said this yesterday on the live event with Bojangles and Kieran, we were talking about Waskell. We were talking about how some cards we've been sleeping on them, and those cards are like the reward cards. For instance, I don't know about you guys, but my reward card deck went from about $10,000 for all of my rewards, $10,000 US. That's all my reward cards. That's my Pellicor Mercenaries, Pellicor Conjurers, etc. That like a month and a half ago, 6 weeks maybe, and now today it's about 14,000 US. And so it's like as soon as these things get off the market, the prices start taking up. At the Chaos Legion packs, they were $150 Christmas time through the Christmas sale, because remember the bulk buy that was being spearheaded in large part by YGG and other communities really taking advantage of that made packs available for about $1.50, and now they're selling for $2.50 on the peer-to-peer marketplace. And so I'm starting to believe that I think things that are currently available are always taken for granted. And it's not until they're no longer available where we start to really recognize the value. Here, look at this. Market, other items. Look at this. Chaos Legion packs selling on the peer-to-peer marketplace, the non-card market, for $2.42. Just before Christmas, we had that Christmas sale, and they were selling for $1.53, I think. And we sold, how many did we sell? Did we sell 1 million? Did we sell, I think it was at least 500,000. And so I feel as though there's a strong argument that this floor price is really, really indicative of people starting to tighten up on the packs. They're recognizing that the end is near, and they're just not willing to release them. Because if they were willing to release them, this price should be $1.50 or $1.60, right? Because I just bought 1,400 packs for $1.50, and so did 500,000 other people. How is this floor price, $1 more than that? It should be lower because the sellers are willing to sell for a slight profit. If I bought it for $1.50, I should sell it for $1.60, and I'd be happy about that because I got the airdrops out of the deal too. But that's not happening because the people who bought those are tightening up on the grip, recognizing the finish line is near. Simultaneously, more people are saying, you know what, for $2.50, I'm willing to, they're almost done. I'm willing to buy a few packs. And just, it takes a few buyers, I think, a little bit of sentiment change in the buying pressure, as well as a little bit of change in the selling pressure to really tweak prices. And I think as those things change, you'll start to hear arguments about how overpowered, as price starts to change, people will start to argue that certain cards like Wraith, or let's look at all of them, Possibilis, or Summoners. Yeah, and then Legendary. Possibilis is getting slept on, I think. Wraith, people respect Wraith. I don't love Immortalus, but am I kind of, disrespecting a really quality summoner? In some ways, I do think I am. Like, I think this is I do use it a fair bit. Astral Entity, I love a lot. I think is very special. I think in the future, when this price ticks up, you'll hear more arguments about how this is one of the best. I think. Yasik, I feel the same way. Now, you got to be careful because I don't really love the scatter shot here. This almost is like a detractor from his total value. It can be used in certain ways around taunts that can be, beneficial for you, but it just introduces RNG, and I don't love that. So, I play a melee with him, but I think these guys are so useful that I think we're gonna imagine their position in the power structure of Splinterlands summoners differently in a year than we do today. So today you might say, none of these is in the top 5 of all summoners. And I think in a year, I think that story changes. Dude, appreciate you. Rockaholic says, I remember trading Yodin for $30 to $40. Dude, I remember buying my kitties for $20. Isn't that crazy? Kitty, which is now selling for $400, and I remember buying it for $20. I remember it came out, and I was like, "This is so good! This is so amazing! The double speed plus the true strike, the self heal. This is a dragon. This is." And I sold. I had a couple Yodins. I had a couple llamas. I was selling llamas for $7. I was selling Yodins for I think, were they $15? Maybe they were $20 for my Yodins. I might have been selling them my Yodin for $20 and buying a kitty for $25, if I recall precisely. And I just needed, I was selling everything that wasn't nailed down because I knew I needed that kitty. And of course, you guys know I used that quite well for a long period of time there. Game cubing, hey Dwayne, glad I could actually catch one of these. Me too, dude. Blaze, dude, appreciate you, man, and appreciate the support there. Gathering goes, hello, waiting for my car to get fixed, so no work for me yet. Man, cars are a black hole. Like I've got 2 vans. We got one wheelchair van for little Lou, and then we got a Dodge Caravan. We got a Dodge Caravan and Dodge Grand Caravan, and they're good. They've been an amazing blessing. Like they were relatively cheap when we bought them, but you know how cars are, guys. It's like it's never just oil service. It's like the brakes go, the tires go, it's just a black hole for money. And we got to play that dance. You can't get around it. You need a car. At least I do. I would like to, what did Steve say? Oh, for sure. I would like to do that. Just, I don't want to pay for this stuff because YouTube, not a money maker. Yeah, man. Yeah, Steve, OBS, we'll talk on Discord later. I'll help you figure that out. It's super easy to get the comments up. I'm going to tweak this later. I can see it's covering my face. I'll tweak that later on the bigger comments. Actually, maybe I can do that quickly right now. Let me see. We're live editing here, boys. Let's see if I can go right like that. And then we'll see if that ends up being a problem at some point because it blocks something. Maybe I'll tweak it again. But yeah, it's free and it's easy. Life Legendary, you feel is the best game cubing? Gathering says 17 chests and 11 to open in about 15 minutes. I hope I get a few new soulbounds. Yeah, man. How awesome is it that we get multiple soulbounds in one chest? Isn't that so much more satisfying than what we've always seen, which is like, oh, there's one. And it's awesome to get one. But it's so cool to see that multiplier. Just like the other day, I got 550 SPS in one chest. That is so much more fun than receiving one or a fraction of one. It's so exciting. Firecaller plus Tinderlock equals OP. Yeah, Tinderlock with the speed is definitely helpful. And the last stand. Yeah, I never really messed with Tinderlock though. He's one I'm kind of sleeping on a bit. Eli says, I'm super stoked to use Astral with some of those new synergies. I definitely think they're doing a great job of balancing the new summoners and bringing new use cases for less popular cards. I think that's really nailing on the head right there. I think, Eli, I think you're nailing it, dude. That the idea that they've done it seems like a really balanced and thoughtful approach to implementing the strategy on the summoners. Like, again, I was listening to part of that After Sound Live, and he was talking about Impossibilis, Wraith. He was talking about Wraith, Yasek. He was talking about Immortalus. And he said he feels that Astral is a bit of a reaction to the current meta with the armor. And I think in some sense he's right, but I don't know if I would have said reaction in the sense of, I think these were actually well planned, like very well planned, to interplay with one another and with the existing metas. So like Wraith came in and we saw like, wow, taunt and some of the armor abilities on the white team, and the Resurrect suddenly so much more powerful. And then and Magic became weakened, which Magic has for a long time been really like a game, like a winner. Like you just look at things like Alvarek, you look at things like who's that legendary beta with the +1 Magic. Anyways, Magic was obviously so key, and then Wraith comes in and starts to begin to change that, and then taunt is a problem because of Wraith, and we have a scatter shot over here, and then archery and archery and like armor, like taunt versus like speed and avoiding your taunts, and then melee and like a different type of melee too. I feel as though they all have their little niches, I guess what I'm saying. And I'm loving watching how it seems like they're very well balanced. It's going to be interesting to see what the dragon is. I think the dragon is going to be the best of all of them. I say that because of what we saw with Kitty. I also say that because it would make a lot of sense if you finish strong. Plus, Kitty can benefit everybody, right? If you make a fire summoner that is the best summoner of all the summoners, that ends up being problematic from a perspective of not every deck, not every player can properly utilize that. But if you make a kitty card, a kitty summoner that is the overpowered summoner of the release of summoners, you actually can bet that every player can enjoy that. And so there's a wider range of attractiveness, and probably it makes a lot of business sense to make the dragon the most desirable of all the legendary summoners. And if that's the case, I'm expecting big things. And you know what? I was reading a comment in the Aftersound thing, and it came from Brandon H, who supports this YouTube channel. So shout out to Brandon. I don't know if he's here today. Brandon, you out there? Drop a comment if you are. He goes, he was talking on Aftersound. He said, what about a new death ability, Dead Forever, as a counter to Resurrect? And I actually love that idea, because I think we've talked about how Magic was a real meta, and then we began countering it with like things like Phase and Void Armor and, you know, a lot of Resurrects and Repair. And then Taunt has become a kind of a meta, and we look at the growth of Scattershot. Evasiveness is a real meta, and True Strike is growing. And so there's always a meta, and then there's this introduction of a slight counter. So you can play in 30 different ways and have fun. And one thing I'm starting to wonder is if the next step is maybe moving toward a counter from Resurrect, because it feels as though there's a ton of Resurrects, and that's almost controlling a lot of what happens, whether it's the self-resurrect with things like Rooney, or whether it's a resurrect through, there's a ton of resurrectors. Let's have a quick look at that. We just go to res. Boom, boom, boom. Look at these resurrectors. Hang on, is this all of them? I mean, white alone has 1, 2, 3, 4. White can have 5. If you're playing with dragon, white can have 5 resurrects. Death can have 1, 2, and then 3. Green, this one is real, I would say pretty questionable. So green is really behind on the resurrect. And so is blue. And I would argue that these thematically make more sense to have resurrects than death does. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more resurrect enter the game. And then we start to have a thing where resurrect is just you have to have it to win. It's like it becomes a meta in and of itself. And then Dead Forever would make some sense as like a counter. And what that would look like in my mind would be like maybe it's a summoner ability that makes all of your hits. Maybe it's like Affliction, where when your summoner has it, all of the opponents are immediately dead forever. When they die, they die. Or if it's on a monster, that monster your monster with Dead Forever has to hit a certain opponent to trigger that status effect on the enemy. But I'm just saying, I love how the evolution of the meta happens, and I think we're going to keep seeing that. And one of the things I'm starting to feel like is quite meta is just Resurrect in and of itself, whether it's this with Wraith, whether it's now Death with Astral Entity, and I suspect we're going to see more from the green and the blue and maybe even the fire team. Plus Rooney's not on this page, and Rooney is neutral, so it can apply to every. Right, it can be on any one of the teams. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see more resurrects coming to the game, and then ultimately if eventually we see a counter, something like Dead Forever. Okay, let's see. Blaze Coast, I'm gonna make sure that you get you're getting raffle tickets, buddy. Appreciate you. Guys, we're up to about, I want to say 84 or something like that raffle tickets that we've given out for the plot of land. And I said at 250, we'll give away a plot of land. So, I mean, maybe we're like 3-4 months away from giving away a plot of land. And if you want an opportunity, drop comments on the channel that turn into videos, or support the channel financially in one way or another. Gamekeeping, they just aren't Kitty and Jotun or Llama, so people don't like them as much. Yeah, I think that's probably true. What did you guys say? I didn't even check the final results on that. Oh, man. That's okay. Chris Agron says, Dwayne, my wife and I love your videos. Immortalus is the best summoner. He kills for so many rule sets. It's crazy. Yeah, really. Hey, I'm going to say that I don't necessarily, first of all, thank you for, appreciating the channel, for leaving a comment of support in that way, for watching. Appreciate that for real. But then on the topic of Immortalus, I'm not sure I agree. Let me try and talk to you about what I think about Immortalus. Cause I want to, like I said in that question, that poll, I feel as though even I am to some extent sleeping on some of these summoners and just kind of taking for granted, because it's happened. I'll tell you, it's happened in the past where I have looked at a card and thought, that's whatever. Like Llama is a prime example. I thought Llama with the last hand was just whatever. And of course it's so good. I thought, actually I never really thought Jotun was questionable. I always thought Jotun was amazing, but I just needed to trade it off for the kitty. But there are cards where I've definitely slept on it. And then, Mylor is one. I pretty much said Mylor is like not for me. And then the price just went do. And I kept saying like, holy cow. Like, and I've seen it even now today. I still see it being really damaging. Amplify has really leaned into making that even more powerful in some contexts with some rule sets. And so when I say this about Immortalus, I want you guys to kind of maybe help me see what I'm missing, if I'm missing something. I don't really get the utility of this in a big way. I see some sort of use cases. For instance, of course, when there's magic, when it's back to basics, one of the things I often see is a lot of magic from my team, my opponents. And so if you can bring a void, that's always great. There's other ways to do that, but not everybody has Mimosa. Mimosa's one more. Mimosa I like better in that context, because then if they bring archery, you're nerfing that too. But here you're nerfing their hearts. So, and also in back to basics, one thing I will often do as a defender for my own team, I'll put an armor tank in the front position with big hit points, but big armor too. Because in back to basics, what will usually happen is you'll have one main tank, and then you'll have, either magic monsters from spots 2 through 6, or you might do some mix of archery and magic. And on the off chance, or on the probability that you're going to use archers as well as magic monsters in your 2nd through 6 spots, I like to bring armor. And so for that reason, bringing Shatter is an interesting counter. So what I'm saying is I really like Immortalus in the back to basic rule set. I also like it in like armored up situations where everybody gets +2. I also like it when magic is like you have to play magic, because that's one of the new rule sets. But I don't know if I love it outside of just like those sort of niche situations. Like, is it this something you guys are playing just broadly, or is this you're looking for those certain moments? I'll tell you, with cards like Grandmaster Wraith, I feel as though I can play that almost anytime I want. The only time I don't really want to play a Wraith is when Void Armor is just standard, because there's that rule set where magic is weak. And in that condition, Grandmaster Wraith really, the part of what he really does, or what he brings to the table, is being already provided. And so then it becomes like, well, it's kind of moot, or maybe it's a waste to bring a Wraith. So I feel as though the situations where I won't play Grandmaster Wraith are quite limited, and I feel the situations where I will play Immortalus are quite limited. And I do feel the same way in some sense about Possibilis and Jasic, but hear me, I'm not saying I don't like them. I'm just saying that's how I think of them as sort of limited utility. What do you guys think? Am I missing it with Immortalus? Steve says, are we up here? All the Untamed ones were around this value, but they will be the kings of Modern for up to a year. So Untamed is going to keep dominating, he figures. As a community, yes, me personally, I am actively maxing them out. Yeah. Yes, like all of the new ones, I guess you mean. Jotun for $30-40. Someone sent me an Astral Entity as a gift for my birthday yesterday. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Such a generous community. Absolutely. Oh, I'm going to say Vetev is Brandon H. So shout out to Brandon. Brandon is the one that said that comment with Aftersound about the Dead Forever. And yeah, he supports my channel also. I appreciate you, Brandon, and Gathering for the comment. Hewitt, the Untamed Legendary Summoners can be cheesy sometimes, like with Lamacron, and we just don't see any great low mana synergies with the Chaos Legion ones, in my opinion. That's an interesting comment. I'm not sure I agree, but I haven't properly maybe thought through it. I guess one thing comes to mind right away. I like playing Jasic with Let's see. Can I find it quickly? I believe it's a reward card. It has Last Stand. It has Phase. Efreet Elder. I like playing Yasik with Efreet Elder. Because look, you got 3 damage output, which turns into, I think, 5 damage output. You've got Phase, which is great because you're going from 4 speed to 6 speed because of Yasik. And then you get the Last Stand speed bonus. So I think you go up to 9 if I'm not mistaken. You got a good amount of hit points. This is a 1-2 combo that I like using. Now, it's quite niche. It has to be that 12 mana. It also has to be, you don't want any sort of true strike rule set, because there are certain rule sets where everything hits regardless of your evasiveness. But this is a 1-2 punch that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, and I like it. And it's in synergistic. It's in with this new Chaos Legion legendary, I guess, release. What else do I see here? Yeah, I don't really feel there's a 1-2 punch with the Grandmaster Wraith. It's more of like a full team loadout that I think is amazing. Possibilis, also, I feel as though the power in Possibilis is when you really when you're able to deploy a lot of opportunity monsters and maybe 2 primary tanks in the first and second position. So again, it's not a 1-2 punch, it's a whole team loadout. Immortalus, yeah, I feel the same way. It's again, this works when you're starting to deploy 4, 5, or 6 monsters. So I think I mostly agree with you, with the exception of maybe Yasik. But I also really like, I like Yasik, maybe with Grum even. But I don't know if that's exactly, it's not up there with with a Llama Kron. But think about Yasik with Grum. Where is he? And you add piercing, right? So the bloodlust can proc more easily, and then your speed goes from 1 to 3, which makes it more reasonable. And then you're quite strong. And if you go up against giants, it starts to really work. It starts to potentially work. But that's not exactly even a low mana. You're talking 17 mana. And then with 17 mana, your opponent can put out a pretty strong team. And so I don't like this one even as much as I like the first suggestion I gave you. And I think generally I agree with you, Hewitt, that at the end of the day, the point is that maybe the Untamed ones do these 1-2 punches so easy, whether it's Llama Kron or whether it's, Kitty with the Nightmare, or what else? What are some other options? Even Llama Hydra, Llama anything, because that Last Stand, right? I think Aggie called it FOMO February Sadist. Dude, on that topic, I wanna watch the quick 2-minute. I want to watch a 2-minute clip that from the recent town hall. You guys probably all saw it, but I want to clip this later and I want to feature this because I think it's so important that the community recognize what is happening right now with land. This is a massively, this is a game-changing moment for Splinterlands and for the players of Splinterlands, that we are moving toward land release. That land release will implement the ability for players to mint cryptocurrency tokens or NFTs that have real world value that the game itself cannot mint. And so it's like this necessary component that is like literally under our hands. It's turning over the keys of the printing press. You guys probably watched the town hall. You heard Aggie talk about it. It's a 2-minute clip. He's about to say why he feels land is so important. He's talking about the power of community, and he wants to see our community thrive. He wants to see our players do well, and he's gonna relay how land is gonna translate into that with $200 million worth of assets they've already created through making packs, making cards, making assets in game. And now that production is in part being turned over to us, the players. So I'm going to listen to this clip and I just want to add some thoughts, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts around the sentiment, because I think this is game changing. This is a monumental moment this is part of why Splinterlands is revolutionary, because we have the ability to earn, not just the developer. This is crazy. Let's listen to this.
Mike, there's lots of people here. When we build games, we build them on the pillars of community, economy, and gameplay. And Matt has teams and teams of people that think about the gameplay, and so my brain doesn't always like live there. I think a lot about community, and I think a lot about economy. And when I think about like part of what got me so jazzed about this entire thing, and what I'm so stoked for, is that like no other trading card game ever turned around to the players and said, "Here, you mint the cards, you do this." Like that's the most crypto freaking thing that we could do. It's just like, the cards, Neil McSpadden, one of our whales, put together a spreadsheet that shows like, here's all the value in the ecosystem. And it's somewhere around $200 million, right? It's not all one thing, but we've made something like $200 million worth of stuff in this ecosystem. And we're going to turn the printing press for that, the minting rights to that, over to you, the player. And I think that's the most cryptoist thing that we can do. And it's like as hardcore crypto as possible for sort of a company operating a game to turn to the users and say, you own the printing press. Here are some rules. Here's how it operates, but you own it. And I that's what I get jazzed about, is like, let's empower the players. That's what crypto's about. And let's take some of the focus on the company or the like lead development project here. Let's take some of that power away from us. Let's give it to the people, and hopefully like the stuff that you print will be a substantial part of that overall value of this economy, which could be like hundreds of millions of dollars. That's what we're turning over to the players, and excited to see what does it actually turn into.
So that's it. That's the 2 minutes of him talking about it. And I think if you really hear what he's saying, and I don't know, when we watch these, look, this was a 3-hour town hall, and I'm pretty convinced that most people don't watch it. Like, how many views did that get? It didn't get enough views. First of all, let's say that right now. It got 1.8 views, 8,000 views, and that's not enough. Like for what this was covering. But that's a huge amount. Like, I'll tell you from my views, like that is a huge amount of attention. And so people are paying attention. People like you guys who are here for lives and were with Aftersound before. And, like we are paying attention, but I don't think most people are. And what's being described here is it's like cornerstone to why I always say Splinterlands is a revolutionary blockchain based video game. Like it turns the old, I guess, income model on its head and says, look, it's not just about buying the game and then enjoying the game. It's about buying the game and being rewarded for your time and attention in this long-term way and in a sustainable manner, not through some sort of like, Ponzi scheme where, early buyers benefit from late buyers. No, like ongoing players are going to want those potions and spells so that they can win more rank battles and so that they can earn more rewards, because one, they like the game, and two, they want to add to their NFT stacks. And then through that, they're going to appeal to either their own land production so that they can create those for themselves, or two, through the marketplace so they can do that. And now he said $200 million worth of assets have been generated through this game. $250 million has been generated through a little blockchain game that started with 2, maybe 3 guys. I think it was Aggie, Matt, and Cryptomancer. I think were like kind of the cornerstone beginnings of this, and out of that we get this company that's created $250 million worth of assets. A game that I play every day, a game that all of us play every day, a game that on a daily basis will give me $1 or $2 for my effort. Not to mention the seasonal rewards, not to mention rental profits, not to mention eventually land profits, not to mention the synergistic benefits out of like things like GLG and Splinterforge and what else? Tower defense, and right? Like there's all these different angles. Like I'm scratching the surface when I point you to the rank battle experience within Splinterlands. There's rank battle, there's brawls, there's tournaments, there's renting your card assets that you aren't using to play all those 3 first things. That's 4 different things within Splinterlands. But then there's, like I said, all those other games that are you're receiving synergistic benefits from just by having assets here. Maybe packs are giving you SPS, or maybe SPS is giving you GLG, etc. And or maybe you're being able to play Splinterforge because you have cards in Splinterlands. Like the growth of what is happening here, and the way it's spreading out into a variety of different aspects, combined with the fact that they're literally giving us the ability. They're not even, and it's not even like they're partners in this. Like they're giving us the printing press to the items and spells. If you bought land, you're part of that. And it's not like Splinterlands, the company has 25% of the land, and then we have 75%. That would make a lot of business sense. That isn't what they did. They themselves bought some. Like I think Matt has a region, and I think Aggie has at least one region. So they have land, but I'm saying like they've literally turned it over, which is so insane. And the SPS governance is part of that story too, but it's almost a separate video. But just the way that they've created something that they think is beautiful, that they enjoy, that we enjoy, and they've promised that they will step back from some of that governance and some of that benefit and some of that value creation, and then they're actually doing it. It's one thing to say 3 years ago that we're going to make this a decentralized game with decentralized governance, or that land is going to come and you're going to earn through items and spells. But it's another thing to then get to the point where they're implementing it and showing that they're actually going to surrender that financial opportunity. It makes no financial sense, but they love the game, they love decentralization, and that in part is why I trust Splinterlands, the team, because one, they're trying to implement what they said they would, and two, there doesn't appear to be an exclusive like lust for income. There actually appears to be a true love for what they're doing and creating, and then of course they want to benefit from that. I see no problem with that, but it isn't to the detriment of everything else, like to the detriment of gameplay, to the detriment of the community, to the detriment. No, it's like alongside the community they want to benefit. I am so excited by that, and I look forward to reading some comments. If you guys have any thoughts on that 2-minute clip from Aggie talking about turning over the keys to the printing press. $200 million has been minted so far. What's going to come out of the land production? Placed on land. Ooh, Warferno. With having monsters placed on land and CP utility, have you thought about the possibilities of combining cards past max? For example, 2 commons, 399 BCX combined is 1 card of 798 BCX. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't actually thought about that, but that makes me think about a second deeply important point that came out of the town hall. Warferno. Remember how they talk about it's not just about land is transforming this game in such a massive way, and part of it is what I just said. They're turning over the keys to the printing press for the assets, the items and spell books, items and spells which we will create through our land production. That's crazy. But then also it's going to transform this game in the form of card soak and DC sync. So you need 5 cards. Matt said he said, I have a regional land. I'm going to need 5,000 cards on that land. I need to go out and buy max level rewards that are going to be really cheap on the marketplace. And pretty much in the last couple of weeks, reward cards have gone up 40-50%. But I think as land gets here, we're going to see even more price appreciation on reward cards because they're the cheapest ones. And therefore it's the easiest way to populate your land, but you need to populate your land. And so, I love what you're thinking about Warferno. I'm not sure quite how to imagine or how to think through the return versus expense of trying what you're saying, but that makes a lot of sense because they talked about how it's not just 5 cards on your land. If you have 1 plot of land, you're going to want 5 of the best cards you can manage with the highest collection power. They talked about it as burn rate, but it's the same thing. Collection power is burn value. And so you think, well, the cheapest cards I can get to populate my land are going to be modern reward cards. They're selling for, a penny or a penny and a half, 2 pennies per BCX. But then you think, okay, but they have relatively low CP. So maybe I want some older alphas, some older betas. Okay, but there's not even close to enough of those. And Matt talked about that. And so then And you also have to remember that when you add the card to the land, you don't just put you actually need to stake DEC into the land. So if Warferno's idea works, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm actually really interested to see some math on what Warferno is speculating about, because if you can you put 5 cards on the plot of land, and you're better off to max them. Well, if they're more than max, that should produce more than what you ultimately could otherwise. But is that better, like putting 5 modern reward cards over leveled, is that better than putting 5 old alphas or betas, maybe that are gold foil? And then the cost of the alphas and betas that are gold foil are probably way more expensive than the modern rewards, so you got to take that into consideration. And then the DC that you need to stake into the land needs to be compensated too. If you've got 100 plots of land and your burn value on those cards is 2,000 or 3,000 DC for basic commons, it's easy to maybe do that. But when you start getting into some of these cards that are going to be 50,000 collection power, are you going to have the sort of DC necessary to stake on those plots of land? I don't know how to navigate that yet, but I'm super excited to see what that looks like, because what I'm hearing at minimum is a huge sink for all of the cards we have. Like, there isn't nearly enough cards. I saw Tales from the Cryptmancer a couple months ago talking about this, and he goes, if it's 5 cards per plot of land, every rare card that ever existed could be taken, and it wouldn't be enough. Every rare card. And now, presumably, it's not just going to be rare cards that are going to be used on land, but just think that through, like every rare card ever. And so, because there's 150,000 plots of land, 5 cards per plot, that's what, 750,000? It's crazy, guys. The impact on this is massive. Massive. Connor, hey Dwayne, hope you and the fam are having a good week. We are, man. Except for wifey, who's quite sick, but she's home resting downstairs right now, reading a good book. Bobby says, as a counter to Resurrect, I would prefer Zombify. Ooh, I like that name. Zombify. Monster comes back and attacks its own team. Dude, that's fun. That feels like a Splinterlands idea, like something they would play with, It's not just an obvious... I actually liked Brandon's idea of like Dead Forever, but I like this even more because it's kind of playful. It's like it went wrong. Like you had your Resurrect and it went wrong. So it could be like a summoner ability, Zombify. And now if your opponent brought Resurrect, it's a counterplay to Resurrect, because if it happens, you're not going to like that it happened. Dude, that's really fun. Deus, Resurrect counter, exploding corpse ability. Monster can't resurrect plus damages adjacent cards. Corpse explosion, Diablo 2, buddy. That's good stuff. I like that. Yeah, corpse explosion. That could be really cool. Even if it did allow you to. No, I like that. That'd be a really hard counter though. Whereas, well, so would Bobby's idea. So would I guess the nuance of Brandon's idea was that if you're dead forever, you almost need to hit that target first. You need to hit the Resurrector for it to be dead forever. It's like, it's not necessarily just an ability out the gate. Astro Robot, or like a Pokemon style confusion mechanic where the card hit itself. Yeah, that could be something too, where their confusion is a thing that I think could be brought to this game quite easily, and it would just switch things up. But it would be frustrating too, because it would be an RNG factor. It would be a random thing. You wouldn't necessarily know who it's going to hit, right? It would be like a scatter shot on the opponent's team because you confused that monster. Old Mike Carr says, hello, dude, thanks for coming. Bobby says, still love my lore, still useful in gold. Man, my lore still beats me in Diamond Champion, in certain rule sets especially. KD says, I love my lore and agree about amplifying, making it more versatile. Absolutely, like breathe new life into an already good card. I'm playing with it in gold as only a level 3 even. Really? Wow. Good. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I am kind of too. Like, it feels low, but at the same time, the thing about this game, I've said it before and I haven't said it in a while, you don't need the best card to be the winner. You need the most useful combination of cards. And that doesn't mean that they all have to be max leveled. Bobby says, I'm back to basics. In back to basics, I never defend, always attack. Speed and damage is my play. Gathering says 28 chests total in bronze, only 3 commons, none on my alt account. So I think you mean no soulbound rewards. Pablo says hola, saludos desde Argentina. Okay, so I know poquito español. Hello, greetings. I'm from Argentina. I'm glad to have you, buddy. Butters, Immortalus is just like Possibilis. Immortalus is just like Possibilis. I wonder what you mean by that, Butters. Like, are you saying like they're the same caliber? Because they're very different. That reach, that stampede or whatever it's called, the trample effect. When you use a Possibilis team with opportunity monsters, that can get out of control. I like Possibilis better than Immortalus because I use that to great effect with teams. Like, just quickly, let's go over to my Can I do this? Let's go. We'll go blue monsters and we go up. Opportunity. Create them too. So look, on my blue team, I can play these 4 monsters in the back lines, and I have them all at the highest levels. And it's relatively low mana. You get 10, 16 mana, and then you bury them behind. I like doing, maybe I'll do Kraken in the first position for that taunt and the big demoralize and huge meat shield. And then in the second position, I'll do the bear, Archimus the bear. So he has protect also, and he's going to do the halfling thing. And he's going to nerf my opponent's tank. Plus he's in the second position with the reach. And then you get all these guys throwing down their damage. And the feasting seaweed at the higher levels is 4. Deep lurker does 5. Parasitic does 3. You're doing a lot of damage output, and battering does 2, only 2, but it has shatter, which is quite enjoyable too in the current meta with all the armor. So I think Possibilis is the winner of those two. If I had to, that's why this play right here I will use to great effect. I'm not fond of Immortalus. He's useful, but not one of my go-tos. I feel the same way. Mitch, I see you lost your comment. Oh, where do we go here? Mitch, yo, IGN Skeeter. Yep, appreciate you, dude. Chris Agron, thanks for the response. I used Immortalus for magic spam rule sets. Okay, yes, yeah, I agree. Me too. Scattershot rule sets? Really? Oh, I guess so, because you want to break... Would you really, hey? Oh, because you're thinking the opponent's going to bring magic and you want to be able to almost nerf that. Okay. Armor rule sets, yeah. And for Magic Reflect rule sets. Really? Magic Reflect too, hey? Because in Magic Reflect rule sets, you would almost expect your opponent to play fewer magic monsters, and therefore your void theoretically would be less valuable. No one expects their enemy to spam magic during... You actually said that. That's funny. I didn't finish reading your comment, and I finished your thought without reading it. But void allows that. Yeah, I like that. Hewitt, Kitty, Almo? Kitty Almo, I see. Almo Cambion with the kitty. Yeah, dude, you're right. That's like the self-heal, the archery reflect, I think magic reflect. The only thing you don't get is the melee reflect, but you will dodge them a lot and sustain yourself. I gotta go, but I'm excited to tune in later and see what you think about the Magic Reflect use case. Appreciate you, Chris. Thanks for hanging out. Bobby, volume got low. Dude, thanks for that. Guys, the volume should be better now. I'm gonna check my yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I turned my own volume down while I was listening to Aggie because I didn't want to have my mic capturing what he was saying. Sorry about that. No. Dude, Butters with the membership. Appreciate it. Fix the volume, fam. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I will fix it in the post. Appreciate you guys. Splinterforge equals free DEC. Great way to slowly build up your bags. Gathering, man. I think you've been I think you're the first voice that was heralding this opportunity. And guys, I don't think Gathering has enough support on YouTube. Like quality content, talking about Splinterforge, talking about Splinterlands, good analysis, thoughtful conversation. Just like comes to it with the gathering the magic mindset also, which is really important because that's a community I think we can appeal to. So If you're not following him, you should. And yeah, he's been really sharing his journey with Splinterforge, as well as Splinterlands. And he's got like the bronze level account, I think it is, that he's grinding with no input, just the $10 purchase of Splinterlands, and it's working. And so he's really, I think he's showing our community a lot of things that will ultimately help the future growth. Whether you talk about the bronze appeal and the ability to earn there, he's covering that. Whether you talk about Splinterforge and the differing utilities for the same Splinterlands assets coming from other games like Splinterforge, he's covering it. So go check him out. Great way to slowly build up your bags. Astro says, I'm struggling to get in Forge. I'm just not very interested to play. Yes, good for extra DC though. I'm falling in love with it. Dude, Bobby, appreciate the $5. Sorry about the volume, boys. I know that, yeah, having a hard time hearing you. I know it's better now, but I'm sorry that for probably 5-6 minutes there we were quieter. Astro. That's the thing, guys. Like, you guys drop a comment and it's like, it's got meat on the bones and I want to get into it. And then we start talking and then we're like 20 minutes into a conversation about something. Hey, Mass, good to see you, bro. New reward cards seem interesting to build up. If any become meta, future players won't be able to compete if you put the work in now. Remember, guys, the reward cards are going to be transferable once they're out of circulation. So if we've been told that these reward cards are going to be released for 1 to 2 years, in circulation for 1 to 2 years, that's going to mean that over that period of time, you're going to be able to take advantage, like Little Dog saying, aka Mass, you're going to be able to take advantage of the fact that you have a card that they don't have. But one day, after it is out of circulation, we've been told that they will be somehow transferable. It might require some sort of DC sync, that you spend DC into the card, making it transferable, but that'll happen. If that's possible, that will happen. And if that happens, then the cards will be sellable and rentable and so on and so forth. And so I think this is true in the 1 to 2 year time frame, but it becomes, I guess, untrue after they make them transferable. Gathering says, thanks for the shout out. Hope we can chat again soon. Me too, dude. I want people to know that you can earn with no investments in Splinterforge. Guys, let's pop over to Splinterforge right now. Splinterforge. I've been trying to get in here more. I was saying to, like I said, I was talking with B Jangles and Kieran yesterday, Waskell, and we were talking about it'll be out soon. It's a 2-hour podcast. We were talking about how do I feel about rank battles in Splinterlands, and do I feel it's like they know that I like the brawls, and I've been saying on this channel more often than I ever have that brawls are the new thing that really entertains me. And out of that conversation, they started to ask, okay, but how do you feel about rank battles? Like, are you still enjoying the rank game? And I thought about it, because I thought about it and I was like, do I still enjoy the rank battles the same way? And I started looking at how often I'm playing the rank battle. And I'll tell you, most days, maybe not every day, but most days I play enough to get 10 chests in whatever league I'm in. And so that, I'm going to say that's in the neighborhood of, 10, 15 battles. Maybe it's even, at times I'm playing my full 25%. And if you play 25% in a day, that means you played roughly 30 battles. So what's my point? Well, I actually think I'm playing rank battle more than I've ever played rank battle in the history of Splinterlands. Because remember, we used to get, in a daily reward, you get 5 chests, right? And you get 5 chests after winning 5 battles in a given Splinter. That was relatively easy to accomplish, and it didn't necessarily take 2 hours. But if I want to play 30 matches to maximally take effect of my 25% daily capture rate, then I need to probably play like even 3 minutes a game times 30 games is 90 minutes. That's an hour and a half. And I'd say that's no downtime. That's assuming your opponent submits their team quickly. That's assuming you do. That's assuming there's a relatively easy match connection. So 3 minutes is probably not accurate across 30 matches. But if you said that, it's an hour and a half. I used to play probably 5 to 10 matches and then be done with it after claiming my daily. It's just not the way it is anymore. So what I'm realizing is I'm interested in brawls in this really amazing way, but I actually love rank battles more than I've ever liked it. I'm playing more in rank battles than I ever have in 3 or 4 years of playing this game. And so I think that bodes really well for the sustained appeal of the game. Like I'm realizing for myself for the first time ever that this is now almost a full-time job. And the trick is navigating how I just don't have infinite time. So I want to do my rank battles. I need to do my guild brawls. I really want to do Splinterforge, but can I do all of those things? Land's going to come out. What's that going to do for my time? I don't know. I just don't know. It feels as though there's not enough for all of it. It's a full-time job. Up to 999 Forge is in less than a week on my naked account. That equals 74 to 75 cents for buying Splinterlands cards and building up my account. Love it. Get those 5 and come back tomorrow. I remember. Yeah. Appreciate it, dude. Astral. It definitely adds to the excitement of opening ranked chests with new reward cards you can't get on the market. I know, hey? And the multipliers. We talked about that earlier, but just seeing a multiplier the other day, my first daily reward came out with the new reward cards, and I got this guy here, and it's like 7 of the swamp spitters and 9 of the possessed puppets and 4 fire callers, 5 raven hoods. This screen almost looks like an end of season reward. Like, look at this, 540 SPS. It looks like an end of season reward, but this is a daily reward. This was 13 chests. I mean, it's wild. And you're right. It's very cool to see these cards that I can't just go, even though I want them really badly. I can't go out and buy it. So to earn this Skok or whatever it's called, Dusk Blight, is really interesting. He's got that weapons training, man. So it's exciting. Do you have the get rules box under the boss? If so, you need to go back to the boss screen and click on it. Okay, I'm going to go in Splinterforge. Yeah, so there's the get rules box, and then I can see what the rule would be for this guy at this time. It feels as though I would be able to get maximum advantage out of, say, like a higher one, because I assume fewer competitors are able to kind of handle like the max level monster. He's got Martyr, Flick, and Phase. Dude, Phase with 9 speed. Wow. Backfire with 8 speed. Yeah. No. On the floor, baby. Sorry, guys. Kiddo's asking questions. If I click get rules, I get invalid parameters. Refresh page. Yeah. I'm going to play a battle here. Let's see. Okay, so, and I was told that my summoner level does not matter. So you can like rent, like this creates interesting use cases for even lower level cards. Like a level 1 kitty is relatively slept on from the rental market. I rented one today for 100 DEC, but if you look at like the max level rentals for kitty, it's really, really, really expensive. 3,000 DC, I bet. Legendary. So kitty, max level kitty, 3,000 DC a day. And there's only 2 of them. But if you go to level 1, you can get a kitty for, well, 200 DC. But I rented one earlier for 100. And so my point is, with games like Splinterforge, which is fun in its own way and has a cool reward mechanic, and it can translate to profits that you take advantage of in Splinterlands, and double dip on cards that you're already owning or that you're renting anyways. It's interesting to see what you're able to do. And then because of different game mechanics, like certain cards go farther. Like that kitty is going to help me. Is that the kitty right there? It's hard to say, but I don't see the kitty, so that must be the kitty. Broken image there. What about if we just went like double speed? Oh, no, see, that's not. It's possibilis. Where's my kitty? I don't know. The way I've been playing this game when I'm playing it is I'm recognizing that you got to focus on like maximum damage output. I've seen people do well with like a sustain model in Splinterforge. Like you just keep your team alive, and through that process, you're going to maximize how much damage you're doing because you're alive longer. But my experience has been just being a glass cannon seems to have been the most effective approach. So I like searching for 1.5 damage. First and foremost, I only have 30 some mana left. I like having armor. I like having shield. I like having more. I like having a full team, 7 monsters. I really do not like having a less than full team. It strikes me as like a real problem. I think you're ultimately just too vulnerable. You need to have more monsters on the field so that you can kick out more damage. Are you just gonna get deleted? See, it might be worth it though. Oh. I got 5 more. I got 2 more monsters, 5 more space. Huh. The blind could be helpful, but then I only have 1 more mana. Okay. Let's go Firebolt Scav. No, let's go blind, and we'll look for a 1 mana monster. Oh, there is no 1 manas in the 1.5. So we'll go all. And then let's put out a repair and a speed, because I got lots of armor on the deck. Let's give that a shot. Everyone rents level 1 kitty and Valnamore. Yeah. But see, isn't it cool how that's creating new usefulness? Like a different game is creating new usefulness for cards that we probably are sleeping on, because you don't necessarily want or need a kitty or a level 1 Valnamore to succeed in bronze or even silver. So I don't know that there's a lot of appetite for that market. But then a game like this comes along and suddenly there is an appetite. That's cool. Check out the recent battles to see what others are doing. That's a good idea. Keksum. I like that name. Thanks, boys. I actually did my first battle now. Cool. Ruler of the Seas, Black Dragon, Adelaide, Spirit Miner, Nerds Ally Guardian. I don't know what Nerds means. Jin Renova, Wavesmith. Interesting. I like that. Magic. Very powerful output. Merdali Guardian, yeah, with the repair and the heal. That's a good idea. Dave, good to see you, buddy. Bree and Dave. Glad to catch you live, 12. Have been playing around with this for a bit. Seems like armor repair may be the most important thing after speed. Yeah. And then void armor maybe, hey, because the opponent does have that huge magic output also. So if you can capture that with repair and armor, void armor, then that seems might be a main play. Armor must have plus speed buffs and slow for the boss. Yeah. Last stand, your hero. Dragons did 2466. Dude, my most ever was 100 and I want to say 16 or something. I think we need to see some improvements on some of the interactions. Like it just feels a bit basic, like quite a bit basic. We could tidy that up, make it look a little cleaner. Make it a bit more. Oh, wow. Right off the gate, the repair. And see, look, my Rooney died. Did he not get a self-res? Is that just a UI problem? Or did he get the self-res, the rebirth? I think he did. He did fully die. Which is either a problem with the game or rebirth just doesn't work in Splinterforge. Man, he's firing bullseyes. Like he's sniping dudes. Like some of my mains. For the damage output that it equals, the Cobalt Miner, it makes a lot of sense to get the 2 mana with the 1.5 modifier. So if you bring a melee buff, it becomes 5, and I guess 8 for 2 mana damage output. So I think I would try and roll a fire team if I was going to go again. Probably Yasik and Kitty, because I want that speed. That was only 31 damage. I could definitely do better than that. That was not the play, guys. Yasik is a good one to use than Magic, yeah. It's all about the use of your hero to max damage output. Yeah, I haven't really messed with the hero upgrades. I bought like a couple chests or something. I think I got some boots or something. Yasik is great for +2 speed. Yeah, and I have a Kitty. I don't know why it wasn't showing there. I'm going to try that one more time. Battle. See. Oh, there he is. Let's go Kitty. And then let's go. Tempted to do this. But I'm also tempted to do this and go melee. What would that do? How good, how interesting. Let's have a peek at that. Let's focus in on melee. Damage. Attack. Even some of the, like, look at this. I think this needs to be tidied up. Like, to say attack when we all know it's melee. You know what I mean? Like, you want to like be cohesive with the community that you're appealing to. You're appealing to a Splinterlands audience. Let's make everything as tidy as possible, eliminating distraction, confusion. One thing you could do here is just change the word attack into melee. I know it might sound picky or whatever. I just think those little things are going to help tidy up and improve the look and the feel of a game like this. Self-heal, got the Thorns, got the Retaliate, got the 1.5. Tempted to go here, but I only have so much mana. I got the Double Strike over here. We got True Strike, so I definitely want the Double Strikers. My Dampier is too low too low, so I'm not actually going to rock that. Tempted to bring a... What would happen here? He's got a camo, so he's not going to snipe me. I'm just going to have the slow in the background. I don't know if that's may or may not be worth it. Do you have the 1.5? Give me the 1.5ers. Tempted. See, this is a beast of a play, but the enrage is not going to really take effect there. I want something. See, my Rooney Rebirth didn't seem to even work. This could be interesting, but he already has enrage. Did I not bring Hydra? I did bring Hydra. I think that maybe is about all I'm going to do from the perspective of melee. Ooh, you got to bring the Alvar. Forgotten one with the Retaliate, maybe? Demoralize could be interesting. I only have 5 more. Let's pull back on the Alvar. Let's bring out this, because that's really going to work well with Enrage. And he has the armor too. And then let's go get rid of the 1 point. Let's go all types. And I've only got 5 more mana. I can do 3 monsters theoretically. So let's look at some small ones. I already got you. I already got you. Halfling. That works on his melee damage output, I think. I'm going to go that. And then... all. Let's bring in a repair. We did bring some armor. And then let's bring a slow. So I've got a good amount of speed output. I can't believe you say somebody did 2,600 damage. I did 30. But I do feel as though his shots were quite precise. He just sniped a few of my low guys. Like last time he sniped my Flame Monkey right out the gate. I have a lot of little nerds. If they are allowed, like if for instance, if he's allowed to get a shot off, it'll help me with the melee. I know it doesn't nerf everything, I don't think. If I see some retaliates, I got a nice double strike. I bet we do at least 90 damage this time. I use Kitty Chancius, triple inspire. Ooh, Kitty Chancius, triple inspire with Archimus Silver Shield Assassin to get the double Double strike. You got some heals and repair. Did you see the BC Business Magazine this month? They specifically say Hive blockchain is one of the best investments in BC. Cool. That's really cool. I didn't see that. Double Inspire, heal, and repair. Great for bronze, silver boss fights. Agree with that. If the naming of UX is easy and uses the same terms as the SL Splinterlands, more people will be happy and try to get hooked. Yeah, I think so. Amazon's supposed to be getting into NFT gaming sphere too, apparently. I wonder what that would look like. I'm definitely interested in that idea. I don't know what that would look like, but I'm, you know, if a big fish like that comes along, I think it's gonna, can't help but be a game changer. You know what I mean? If it's truly NFT and if it's actually utility, it's not just garbage. Because we've seen NFTs that are sometimes just absolute trash. They don't do anything. They're just an appearance. For me, utility is key. The thing, if I have utility, I'm going to enjoy that. Yeah, Eli, I've noticed that Tails has been covering Splinterforge more often. Gathering started it, for sure. I mean, he didn't start it, but Gathering has been part of the first voices to address this. Yeah. Gathering. Tails does do a great job. Tails does a great job on everything. Tails is an amazing content creator for this space. My Halfling Alchemist still kicking it. How is that thing still alive? I also would love to see a running total of how much damage output I've got here. Right? Like, I only did 40 damage? Are you kidding me? Wow. I must have... How is that even possible? Did he have shield or something? He did have... Okay, he had shield, so my melee was being nerfed. He had retaliate, so he's probably just retaliating against some of my melee attacks. Let's go battle again. And because I'm going to think through magic first and foremost. So he's got retaliate. Oh, he's got void. Like he's got everything. He's got magic reflect. It feels as though archery is maybe his biggest vulnerability because, well, even he can't retaliate on my archery. He does have shield. So it's going to cut my archery in half, but shield is going to cut my melee in half. Void is going to cut my magic in half. So he's protected at every level. Plus, if I use magic, he's going to magic reflect me. If I use melee, he's going to retaliate me. So I think archery is like the one point of his greatest vulnerability. Yes, he's going to archery reflect me, but at least he's not retaliating me and archer reflecting me, right? He can't. And magic, he is reflecting and I guess magic is just as powerful. Okay. One more shot. Let's give this a shot. Okay. So I'm going to try and rethink. So, I mean, Kitty is obviously nice with the heal. But I think we need to buff up our damage. I think we want to bring some armor. I might bring the Wraith. You go super defensive and just like nerf. But I don't think that's enough. He's still got, if I nerf his magic, he's got these. But I've got repair. I think I need to bring out the white because the white team to me feels like the most repair friendly, the most armor friendly. Yeah, I could bring Peak Rider, but I think the Void Armor is key. So I'm going to Wraith. And then Archmage Arius for the damage output. Kitty for the True Strike and the self-heal and the speed. I think okay. And then let's go 1.5. I want armor. I want things with armor. I didn't bring Kitty. I gotta be worried about missing. I think I gotta bring Kitty. Because my Wraith doesn't give me any speed, so I think I need to bring Kitty or I'm gonna be missing. I want to bring armor. I want to bring armor. I want to bring armor. But I'm quickly using up my mana, so I need to also use some of these lower mana monsters, even if they don't have armor. And I only have 3 more spots and 5 more mana. That's not gonna work. I gotta get rid of some of these. Probably yes, shield and retaliate. That's what I'm forgetting that. Shield and retaliate. I think we gotta get rid of dragon. Ooh, yeah, and yeah, he's got shield and retaliate. So let's go archery. Did I bring out? Okay, got to bring the lone boatman for the repair. And then I want to bring out the other magic. There's a, yeah, my other magic repair. The dragon team. It's not 1.5 damage. That's okay. All. Ooh. Repair. Yeah, let's bring out like triple repair. Triage could be interesting. Speed could be helpful. Armor Smith is doing damage. He's got a repair. He's going to get an armor with a void. Now I've only got 6 monsters. I think we need to maybe lose Buddy and bring out more meat. Like, for instance, Pellicor Conjurer for 8 more hit points with a Divine Shield. A triage over here makes a lot of sense. I already brought him. Affliction could be... Oh, it's not relevant. Slow could be interesting. Speed. Yeah, you know what? We're going to put out the triage. This has got more sustain, right? I got a triage. I got a repair. I've got a good amount of tank, like, hit points. These guys are vulnerable, but they do have armor. So unless they get double striked in the first turn or in any given turn, I think they have more sustainability. This will be the last match, and I want to fight in this. And then I want to talk about a couple more things. I want to spend a half an hour talking about the reward cards, because I haven't done that yet, guys. I did it before they were edited, nerfed. Let's talk about reward cards after this. Amen said, try Immortalus. Magic Reflect won't matter. That's true, hey? That's true. If I brought Immortalus, the Magic Reflect wouldn't so much matter, and I could go focus in on magic. Kitty Llama. Ooh. Ooze. Time Mage. Slow. Brownie. Speed. Half Lingerie Alchemist, I think is what you wrote there. Yeah, Halfling Alchemist. That's funny. Dwayne, your hero has no business up there. That's funny. That's true. You're right, hey? That's so true. Where's that 15 mana dragon? Yeah, the Agor Longtail, Bree and Dave. Soulbound cards do show up in Splinterforge. Oh, cool. If you run Deathblow monsters, they do some crazy... Oh, Matthew. Great idea. Deathblow. See, this is the funness. Like, the fun is that there's a whole new angle here. A totally different interface. A fresh new way to look at things. The 2 summoners is a crazy new thing. Look at the double... I mean, who cares? But like whenever he scatter shots 2 against 1 guy, it's always annoying. Because it doesn't give my repairs time to do what they need to do. I want my repair to come around and keep me up. And another thing I've noticed is like right there, Armorsmith took 7 damage and didn't die because he had 1 armor, and they didn't show that. So there's something like we need all of the images need to be there. Look, he just died, and he had armor theoretically. Now I guess he didn't, but that was a problem with the pictorial representation of what my team, the abilities of my team. It's very confusing if my guy just suddenly dies and it looks like he shouldn't have. So he doesn't have pierce, so if I had an armor, even 1 armor, it should have stopped the attack. Unless it was a magic, maybe I'm wrong. But also when the attacks happen, like what the attack image looks very confusing. Like they don't use this magic attack when it's in a magic attack. They use their own like proprietary magic logo. I think that's, again, a cohesiveness with the Splinterlands game that is a problem. Like, you need to use this metal gear to indicate melee. You need to use this magic cloud to indicate magic. You need to use the archery target to indicate archery. And through that, you would so much more quickly just grab the mind of a Splinterlands player. And you would convey to me what you want to convey to me. How are we doing? See, and I mentioned it earlier, but I want to see a running total at the top. I've done 30 damage. I've done 40 damage, whatever it is. Kitty just healed my Conjurer, and I didn't see the increase in its hit points. Very confusing. I know, and it does show you over here like what's happening. So-and-so repaired so-and-so, etc. But we need to see, it needs to be clearer in a pictorial form. Yeah, I definitely need to get my hero up. Joffrey, I'm just getting going in this. Like I've played probably 3 or 4 days in a row. Not in a row. I played 3 or 4 days of like substantial play. And so I'm just getting started. Visuals are a bit wonky. Even if you made it swords, arrows, and wands, we would give the drift. Jarvie, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping by. We're talking about Splinterlands. We're talking about, look, 58 points. That was my better one. See, the armor from the triple repair and the Wraith void armor really helped. Still, this is a far cry from like the higher, like Gathering was saying somebody did 2,600 damage or something. Jarvie, you arrived just in time, buddy. We're going to talk about reward cards, soulbound reward cards. I want to look at them because there's been changes, and I haven't commented. I did my video, a week or so ago about what I thought about the soulbound rewards. I want to talk about the new ones. And I want to just, I guess, go through and talk about what I'm seeing. Let's see stats. So at the highest level, Barrock's Defender, what do we got here? 3 damage output, melee based, 3 speed, 5 hit point, 5 armor, 8 hearts. The protect is so key, but like armor has become, like we've said, armor has become really part of the meta. So I think this will be a very helpful tank. But then, do you want this in your first position? I'm not convinced you do. Shatter is nice. It's not a huge amount of damage output. It's not a huge amount of hit points. There's no void armor. There's no void. There's no shield even. So I don't love the sustainability of this tank. I like it maybe a lot in like a melee from any position, but I feel it's kind of a bit niche. So I don't love this card. Its speed is a little low. The damage is a little low. The vulnerability to magic is pretty significant. I'm not a huge fan of that. That's a common card. So, I mean, what do you expect? Here's another common card though, and it's got a Martyr, which is, we talked about how powerful Martyr might be. I think we're going to see cool new use cases for that. See, but how would you make a card like this with no taunt, the primary focus, so that you could build a team where the Martyr maximally benefits you? I'm not convinced that would be easy. You could put it in the first position and just let it die. I don't love that. why would you want to pay 5 mana for a card just to Martyr? I don't know that that makes a lot of sense. You could put it in the 6th spot so that it's a sneak attack defender, and if it dies, it martyrs on the 5th spot monster. But you don't know if your opponent's going to do sneak, first of all. So then you're bringing a martyr card, hoping it martyrs, and not even really knowing if it will. And if it doesn't, it's really quite a mediocre archery unit at the lower levels, with good archery damage and speed at the higher levels, but it's going to take a good while before we get up into here. I also love Fury because taunt is so, prevalent these days, and snare is increasingly important. In my opinion, it's one of those abilities that will get more and more important because we'll get more and more monsters, and as we get more and more monsters in the game, it's just inevitable that there will be more and more useful flyers. Therefore, snare is one of those abilities that actually, I think, in my mind, gets better with time. Same with Giant Killer and a few others. But yeah, and Fury is another one that will get better because there'll be more and more taunts. And so there becomes more and more utility to a card like this as time goes on. So I like this at higher levels. I just don't know how I'm going to maximally utilize Martyr in this context without a taunt. So it's just kind of an okay card. I think I like it, but I'm not, it is not one of my favorites thus far. From what I know, I like the art on this one. 3 mana, 3 archery, 4 speed at higher levels, 4 hit points, no armor, life leech, which will add up quickly with 3 damage output. You got the dispel, which is so much more useful now due to bloodlust, due to martyr, due to gladiators being in rank battles, because of conscription. So dispel, love it. Oppress is great because we know that we're going to see through weapons training more and more of the no natural attack monsters. So this card to me feels very meta. Like it feels as though it's going to fit right in this new world with conscript, with weapons training, and also with a good amount of damage and speed, and life leech is going to turn it into a tank. I like this card a lot. This is my favorite of the fires so far. Idri Fire. What do you got going on, girl? Art's pretty cool. I don't love the look of this card. 6 mana, no attack, no native attack. You got that taunt. Okay. I think this was one I thought was kind of broken before it was nerfed. I think it had 3 more hit points, if I recall correctly. So it's still a huge tank. It's got a decent speed. I think 4 is the new kind of fast. Like 3 used to be, reasonably fast. Now I think 3 is slow. 4 is like basic fast. Taunt is always nice. Redemption feels a bit whatever. If you're playing a mana match, if you're playing a 6 mana card with a redemption, I feel as though you're not really playing a low mana match. And so with no attack, right? So this is probably going to be fine use in a 30 or a 40 mana match plus. And in those situations, is a redemption doing a lot for you? I don't know that it is. Archery or return fire is quite nice, especially with all the armor that it's got. The phase is interesting. I don't know if the speed is there, but if you compare this with, add to this like a Yasik, for instance, maybe it starts to get to a place where phase is working for you. I like this card, especially with weapons training now, right? I like this. I could definitely see a place for this. This is probably not, it's still not in my mind as desirable as the Pyre Watch Devil, because of the 3 mana makes it so much more applicable across so many different use cases. I think this card strikes me as very powerful, and the Idri Fire so far is just, interesting or good. Phyrexia Hero, what do we got over here? 9 hit points, 3 armor. The highest level is 5 damage output. Really cool artwork. It's got that weapons training, so it's going to share some of its melee damage output with a neighboring monster. So you could put that Idri card we just looked at in the first position, make it your primary tank. With that, some of it had phase, it had decent speed, it had armor and hit points. It had, it's a strong, relatively strong basic tank, and then you'd put Phyrexia behind it, and you're going to impart some of that melee, half of this monster's attack if there is no attack. So you're going to get, if you got 3 damage output, if you got 5 damage output, you're going to get 3 on the Idri. So picture this guy over here with 3 damage output. It becomes a decent tank with all of this stuff. Yeah. Still, again, I don't change my final opinion on Idri out of that, because 3 damage melee is not so much that I'm thinking that's amazing. Like this card though, because it's a good reach monster with a significant amount of damage. Plus, Reflection Shield is so important in that second position. And it's relatively strong. I like this as a reach card for 8 mana. I like that a lot. Soriel the Bale. Double strike magic. Like, wow. I mean, that's an amazing combo. It's slow, but slow can be a good thing. Blind is always a good thing. And Rust. Rust, when your main attack is magic, becomes like a little bit, you might think whatever, but presumably you're not maybe only going to bring magic, or maybe there's a weak magic rule set where you don't want them to have any armor because your magic is going to hit that armor. So then bringing a Rust can be helpful. Plus we know, like we said, Grandmaster Wraith is so prevalent and that void armor. So I like this card a lot. I'm going to say from their fire team, top 3 look like a definitive Pyre Watch in the first position, because not just because it's strong, but because it's low mana and therefore is going to apply to so many more matches. I probably like Phyrexia because I don't love all the secondary tanks in the fire team, but this, other than Phineas Rage, I feel as though it's a bit of a weaker section of the fire team. And then lastly, and I guess also the weapons training can introduce some sort of new coolness to the fire team. So I like Phyrexia a lot as a number 2 on the fire rewards. And lastly, Soriel with the double strike magic. Yeah, those are my top 3 from the fire team. I'm going to check them in the chat before I do blue, but I want to go through them all quickly here, guys. Bobby, Uncle Jarvis here. Hide. Morning, Jarv. So if you run the green beta summoner, yeah, okay, green beta, okay, and Kitty, and run Vampiric Blossom and Gargoyle Devil, Vampiric Blossom and Gargoyle Devil. I'm trying to picture them all in my head, along with the Scale Doctor and some other repair heals units you will crush if they don't have shield or reflect. I defeated Jotun with Martyr. It boosted my Grum and Tinderlock. Cool. Yeah, boosting your Grum is always a good thing because it gets that bloodlust going, right? Once you boost your Grum, he does more damage. He's more likely to get another kill. Then suddenly it snowballs. My favorite is the Common Life card that got a huge buff. Okay, we'll look at that. Darren, hey Darren. Darren is literally one of the, I think he might be the first person who ever supported the channel financially with a super chat. So thanks. Shout out to Darren. He's been here since literally day 1. When I first saw these Martyr units, I thought of monsters that deal 1 damage to adjacent units. I thought of monsters that deal 1 damage to adjacent units while boosting itself. Kills the Martyr while receiving boosts. I don't think I understand. I think you're saying you imagined Martyr meant something else. Kexum says, new reward cards made it easy to climb back to silver. Bots didn't stand a chance. I bet they no idea how to use it, right? No data to rely on because they look at the data and then they make choices based on that. You look at your options and creatively craft something unique. Gobson Bomber is becoming a favorite of mine. 6 damage with camouflage. Wow. Okay, let's check out the blue. Blue team. Okay, I got Swamp Spitter. I'm not in love with this one so far. Repair is always good, but I'm not in love with it. I like how he's archery because that does mean I can put him in a rear position, which I like because, you know, I want repair on my team, but so far right now the only one they really have is there's a Tertesian something or other, and it's a tank of sorts. It's like a melee turtle. It's cool. It has a niche purpose, but that the Swamp Spitter feels more applicable broadly because it's got archery, so I can throw it in the rear. It's got a good amount of hit points and decent armor. It's got the Giant Killer, which is increasingly powerful because there's more and more monsters at 10 plus mana. So I like this card. I don't love it. 7 mana feels like a lot for an archery monster, but if you're playing in a 99 mana, this would get a lot of play out of me. Because repair is so important, because it does a fair bit of archery damage. But I'm saying in lower mana matches, I'm just never gonna, right? Because it doesn't have close range. Coastal Sentry was one I thought originally, before any of the nerfs, and I haven't looked at it since. To me, this one felt amazing. So let's have a look and see what I still think. I don't remember exactly what the stats were, but let's just comment on it how it is now. So we got 3 melee out the gate with the double strike. That's pretty boss. Like that's pretty nasty. Now you are costing 10 mana, which is no joke, but you do have the 1 armor. So if you could play this even in a tank position or a melee from any position, I could see that having work, putting in work at the lowest levels. And quickly, you're getting into, you know, at silver, you're going to be doing 4 damage twice a turn. The speed is a bit, yeah, no, the speed's good. The piercing makes it and takes it to the next level. So in that gold level or above, you're getting the 4 damage out plus the piercing. I love this card already. Like, really at every level so far. And then you get into the highest levels, you're doing, the only thing that's stopping this thing is force field. This is a beast with a knockout. Whoa. And this is a common. I know it's potentially giant killed. That's a weakness. I know it's vulnerable. It has no sort of shield, void, phase. Sure. But this is a glass cannon. That's what I said about it before, and I still, like, it is, man. Like, double strike, 5 damage, piercing, knockout. Wow. In melee from any position, this is a nasty card. I love that card. So that's way better than the Swamp Spitter. Okay. We got Riverboat Captain. What's your deal? I don't love the art on this one. He looks like he would live in Oregon. He looks like he would own a bed and breakfast in Portland, and he would sell you a craft beer that he microbrewed in his basement. 2 magic, goes up to 3. Okay, 6 mana for 3 magic, not bad. Slow, but that's not always a bad thing. Relatively weak in terms of damage or hit points. The blast is pretty huge. The affliction is nice, and the fury is nice. Okay, I like it. I don't love it. It's still too vulnerable, and because of the speed, it's too niche. You're going to use it in reverse speed sets more than anything else. 6 hit points is not enough. It's going to be really vulnerable to opportunity attack monsters because of its speed, because of it's going to, you know, the magic reflect is actually going to be a real problem for him because he's blasting, he's hitting more than one target. He's likely going to hit, like often he's going to hit somebody magic reflecting. I don't love that one. I got to see what you guys said. Do you like the Portland conversation there? I don't have any new rewards, none in any chest or a few packs I've opened since yesterday. Still getting old ones. More like potential cards down the road, an ability that deals damage to your own team. Yeah, that would make sense, but buffs itself and triggers Martyr ability instead in early battle. You know, Darren, something that sounds like to me is what's it called? There was this comic, there's this book I used to read as a kid. I forget what it's called now, but there's this bloodlust ability where the guy he tastes his own, like when he gets into a massive battle, he will bite his own tongue so that he tastes blood, and it drives him into this frenzy type of thing. So it's almost like you get damaged. It's like somebody else gets damaged, and it like communicates in rage to them or something. I got my first reward cards for season rewards, but you are getting cards that are appreciating in price. Well, these are gonna be worth something, Kexum. Coastal Sentry with Possibilis at the second position. Ooh, good call, Amun. The second position with that double strike and the 5 damage and the piercing. And oh, dude, watch out. Darren with a little. Bobby looks like he makes a mean cider. Yes, he does. He does. Richard, hi Dwayne. From a gameplay point of view, Silver League, do you have a suggested cheaper replacement to Chain Golem? It can be a combination of a summoner and a monster to get similar stats. I want to answer that question, but I want to keep going through the blue at least. Let's finish blue and then let's maybe swing back to that. But I do want to go through all the reward cards because I like Chain Golem, especially the thing about Chain Golem quickly, just very quickly, is that he has the void armor, and so you can bring him in, and he will be an opportunity distraction. You need cards in your deck that are opportunity distractions because there's so many amazing opportunity monsters, and so it's great when you can have a monster that attracts the opponent's opportunity but has a ton of shields, and therefore is going to minimize minimize your vulnerability and their advantage. Chain. Oh, I was thinking Chain Spinner. My bad. Chain Spinner. I like the Chain Spinner for those reasons. Limited hit points, high armor, and it's void armor. So Chain Spinner is something I like a lot for the reasons I just described. Chain Golem is one that I've never owned, and I rent regularly because it is good. But you got your slow, you got your speed, you got your like super resilient. Like this is a tank of tanks. To me, this is like literally the definition of a main tank. Shield, void, piercing, stun, good amount of hit points and armor. Dude, it's hard to replace something like that. You're talking like, this is probably, is it the best tank of tanks? I don't know about that. It's in the conversation with like Lord of Darkness. It's in the conversation with like, what else? Like Flesh Golem. It's in the conversation with, what are some of the best tanks? This is one of them. So to replace that is no easy task. But let's carry on. Noah the Just. It's cool artwork. Name is interesting. 5 mana. Okay, so no native attack. I like how evasive it is. 6 speed with the dodge and the backfire and the martyr and the rust. I like this one a lot from a no attack perspective. It's an interesting off tank because it has a good amount of hit points. It's very evasive, and if it does dodge, it's going to hurt you. The martyr makes it interesting also. I don't know that you could count on this martyr triggering in a massive way for you, but just that it has it is interesting. I like this card for 5 mana. I like that card. I really want to see what the blue does for which blue has the weapons trainer, because that's going to impact whether, like, how cool Noah really ends up being. So we got there's the weapons trainer right there. So melee. So then you get, this is an opportunity monster. So you can put this in the first position. You put Kulu in the second. You're getting an opportunity beast that has weapons training impartment onto him. So yeah, interesting. I really like that Noah the Just. It's not nearly as good as the double attack melee though. So here we got another massive opportunity melee from the blue. The blue team is like increasingly taking over that melee position as the melee kind of team. Fire has always historically been that, but blue is to me like better at it now. For real. With this and with the Pellicor Bandit, with the Saber Shark, if you mess with that one. What's it called? I'm forgetting it right now, but the Deep Lurker, with the Demoralize, the Poison, the Opportunity, like it's such a nasty team, man, with the rear melee or opportunity melee attacks. So you got the weapons trainer, love it. Opportunity, love it. Shield, amazing. This thing looks like a tank. And then Enrage, dude, you better have Force Field on your, and it's got opportunity. So how are you even, you better have a taunt with Force Field. Is that even a thing? Because I feel as though this is going to absolutely just gobble up the back lines because of the opportunity. And then with this, and you can't place your Force Field in a way that stops me because it's opportunity. I'm going to go for your weakest anyways. So this card's powerful. To me, it's way better than most. So Coastal Sentry and Kulu Mastermind are like way out in front on the blue team for me. Wow, this artwork is so insanely awesome. I love that, dude. It looks so anime. It looks like One Punch Man, one of the enemies or one of the allies that One Punch Man would be with. Okay, so a little bit of damage output, 3 mana. I like that. Decent speed. Small, but again, it's only 3 mana. It's got the Scavenge, which adds up all the time. Shatter is okay, whatever. Dispel, I think we're going to really want. So I like this card a lot. It's for sure the number 3, though, even though I like it a lot. Like, I really like it a lot. But it's nowhere near Coastal Sentry or Kulu. Yeah. Okay. Let's check him in the chat and we'll quickly rip through green. Riverboat hippie. Yeah, that's another way to say it. They did mention the possibility of... Okay, Astral, they did mention the possibility of negative abilities like a summoner with +2 magic but lose hit points. I love that idea. We talked about that at Splinterfest. Somebody asked the question, what about summoners or monsters that have negative abilities? Like, it hurts your team, but it's so good in other ways. Like, it does crazy damage output, but it literally nerfs the rest of his teammates. That happens in other games like Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, which is a game I love. And it's so cool because it creates this whole nuance and this whole new angle to thinking through a team creation where it's not just what's the best, like what's maximizing my damage output. It's like also, does the damage output outweigh the potential nerf impact? And how can I use that in certain situations and conditions to be the better play? Because it can be surprising. It's like, why would you want to nerf yourself? Well, sometimes nerfing yourself in one facet can increase your maximal, opportunity for winning because of other opportunities it creates. I think that's a cool idea, and I believe they're going to do it. The way the question was answered at Splinterfest was very like, yeah, that's cool. We should do that. It was very like, yes, but we'll see. Richard, could you use New Earth Summoner to give Void with a neutral tank, such as Legionnaire? You could do a video on finding cheaper alternatives to gameplay only. That's a good idea, Richard. I'll make a note on it and like try and, see like alternative to Chain Golem video. Yeah, thanks for the idea. Astral Robot, Mastermind, Deep Lurker, Sentry, and Possibilis. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. That sounds nasty. And imagine Possibilis with Demon Shark, Coastal Sentry, yeah. Demented Shark, yeah, for the melee buff. Deep Lurker, yeah. Kulu's Mastermind, yeah. And finally, Speed Boost with Supply Runner with Trample. This will be crazy. Or you could even do, I almost like, yeah, you're right. No, I like that play a lot. That does sound nasty. Although I might get rid of the Demon Shark and put the, because I like the Demon Shark a lot, but if you put the Demented Shark in the first position, that it's doing melee damage output, and then the Coastal Sentry is in the second position. Now you'd be a real glass cannon because your Demented Shark is quite vulnerable to every type of attack, and then your Coastal Sentry is vulnerable to every kind of attack. So you'd be nervous about dying before you killed your enemy, but that can work. Like, there are lots of times where I have very little hit points and I delete my opponent before they even swing. Yeah, don't sleep on Possibilis. Okay, let's do some green. Okay. The Fungus Flinger, Martyr, huge. Really low mana. I love the low mana monsters, man. Like, they just fit into so many niches. Whether you're playing 99 mana or whether you're playing 20, these guys can often find a home. Okay, so relatively low damage, kind of really slow, and then kind of fast. I don't love when my monsters do this because they end up having one sort of story and utility at the lowest level and a totally different use case and sort of appeal at a higher level. And I don't know how well that lends to sort of future price appreciation because it ends up impacting its use case and desirability at certain leagues. And then it becomes really interesting. So it's like, if you play a diamond or champ, you want a card like this probably, but then if you play a bronze, you probably don't. And so I think that hurts the sort of price appreciation argument for a card. But let's go, but that's only one facet. Let's keep looking. Martyr is huge for 3 mana. That's really, and that seems like for 3 mana, that's a really desirable ability. Blind is always good. Affliction is always key. Relatively low damage output. Just okay. I feel like this had camouflage before or something. I think it's just okay. But for 3 mana, I'm listening. And you could put that, Like the blind is really nice, and then and because of the Fernheart, you got another archery monster that you could put in and be, you know, okay with it reaching the front. Now it is vulnerable; it's really low hit points, but again, it's okay. I like the Martyr, but again, how do you use the Martyr and lead to it being triggered in a way that you want in a reliable manner? I don't know. Okay, so 6 mana, small damage output, gets into a reasonable place. Dodge is interesting. Archery, return fire is interesting. I don't love this one. This feels like a green version of the, what's it called? Of the Serpent of Eld. And the Serpent of Eld is a fine tank. It's got return fire also. It's got some hit points and some armor. It's got dodge. I don't love this card. And it's, if you ever go against Magic, you're hooped. And I would say it feels like the same thing here. So yeah, you got more hit points, but don't love it. Not even sure I like it. Madcap Magus, what do you got going on? I always love Life Leech. Now, 2 damage output at the higher levels is relatively low, but you do only have a 4 mana cost. Scattershot is annoying, usually. I just don't like relying on it. You know, you never know where it's going to land. So I'm not super stoked about this yet, but I do like, I guess, you know, I hate when my enemy taunts me and funnels my attack and in that way kills me because they control where I'm aiming. So Scattershot can be really helpful. Affliction's interesting. Dispel helpful. I like it. I don't love it. So far, I'm kind of underwhelmed by the green team here. Thane, New Song. I remember saying that this was my favorite of the sort of team synergies with the new Soulbound cards. I remember saying that, you know, Thane with whoever does the weapons training on the green team, and then one more really felt like a strong combination. So let's see if I still feel that way. Thane, I love this kit, man. Inspire, Strengthen, Swiftness, Headwinds. That's an amazing off tank right there. And a good amount of hit points. And you're going up to 10. Slow, but you got the Swiftness, so you're now a 3, which is okay. 5 mana, I like that one. So far, that's by far my favorite green. We get over here with the Ava the Undaunted. You got the weapons train, so you drop you're imparting your archery onto that one we just looked at. Now I don't love that because, like, what? The card we just looked at, Thane, is going to probably be a tank, I would say, and then you're going to give him archery, but he's not even going to be able to fire unless you're using Fernheart, which he could, but then the Inspire is probably being wasted. So I don't know if I love that combo anymore. I don't know if I think he used to have. Did he used to have? Oh, I remember what I used to say. So Ava, I don't love this one either, is what I'm saying. Yes, it's got close range, so the archery can make it, but it's relatively weak. The weapons training is cool, but I don't love weapons training in the form of archery. I'd rather have magic or melee. Shatter is cool. Oppress is nice. This is good, not great. So far, I like Thane a lot. And I think in my first video on this topic, I said Teratius could be a nice tank, and then you could put Thane, and then you could put your weapons trainer, and then in that way you get a strong tank. Like this guy's a really a good tank. Like you got the huge armor, you got the hit points, you got the void armor, you got the taunt, you got the demoralize. It feels like a tank. And then behind that you put Thane, so you have a second tank. Which is going to protect you from archery. It's going to protect you from, you know, if it has to move into the first position, Thane's going to be a good one. And then also Thane's going to have the archery because you're going to bring Ava. So I like that 1, 2, 3 combo. But do you have all of those? And of course, I don't even have them. So, you know, it's going to take a while before you equip yourselves with those. But if you can get those max level, I like that 1, 2, 3. I don't love the green team Soulbounds. They're pretty meh to me. But I like, if I had to choose one winner, I would see myself using Thane by itself without weapons trainer more than I would use any of these others, including Teratius, because Teratius, while I like it a lot, just feels like that giant. I'm worried about Giant Killer. I'm worried about its speed. I'm worried about how much mana it takes up out of my team mana. Whereas Thane is cheap and does so much and has that off tank ability. I like him. So Thane is the only real one I really love there. From the white team, let's rip through white before we go check with chat. Imperial Knight, I like the image, the cool sword, 7 mana. You're doing up to 4 damage output with 3 speed. You got huge armor, huge hit points, void armor. This card's sick. This card's awesome. This is a brand new, amazing tank that fits so well with the white team and probably introduces more usefulness from some of the other white summoners, because Wraith does so many cool things, but you know, it already has the void armor. So then maybe you don't want to drop Wraith. Maybe you want to drop, you know, Lorna Shine, or you want to use, you know, heck, any of them. Like the cheaper mana summoners suddenly become more viable again because you have a void armor tank with the white team. And the self heal is huge, and the magic reflect is huge, because magic reflect is going to bounce off of even your armor due to the void. I like this card a lot. Now it's not doing a huge amount of damage, but the sustainability, the resiliency between the heal and the void armor is really huge. I like that card a lot. Drybone Barbarian, sweet looking. Enrage is huge. I always love that. So you're going to get some crazy speeds, right? You get the 4 plus the Enrage is going to 6. And then if you bring any swiftness, it can get really carried away. And 6 damage turning Enrage is 9. You bring any Inspire to that conversation, this thing could be absolutely ridiculous. This feels a lot like the Orc Stone Splitter, which is an older green card that has Retaliate, that has an Enrage, that has a high melee damage output. But this is even better because it has more hit points, meaning it has longer to take advantage of the Enrage. If you only have 5 hit points and you have an Enrage, you need to take damage on your base so that you can proc your Enrage. Well, this has more hit points left over after being hit once. And then the Retaliate has longer to be advantageous because you're alive longer. And there's a 50% chance on that. And the knockouts are just always awesome. This card's amazing. So I feel like green is embarrassingly, like, to me, green is definitively the worst Soulbound kit so far. Not saying it's terrible. I like Thane a lot. I like some of these other ones a lot at the higher levels. I like them, but it is very mediocre compared to all the other ones I've looked at so far, where each of the other Splinters so far, I had loved some of the cards. And for me, Drybone and Imperial are both home runs. So right now, white is kind of running away with it. That's a really sick art style. So we got a War Pegasus. He's got archery damage. It goes up to 4. Another archer from the white team, which can go with Sloan and do some good things there. Good speed, which is really nice because a lot of the archers on the white team are a bit slower. This one's bringing speed. You got high hit points. You got Shatter. You got Flight. You got Demoralize. Demoralize is always nice to have. If you can throw another Demoralize on the rear of your team and really diminish your opponent's output, I love that. Especially with all the shield tanks that the white team has. So Demoralize ends up being really helpful. So I like this card. It's a winner. It's not as good as the first 2 white ones I looked at, but I like it a lot. Evelyn. Oh, she looks so rad. Evelyn Alvera. 5 mana. Love it. Huge, huge hit points considering the 5 mana. 14 hit points. Reflection Shield. Immunity. Thorns. Whoa. Whoa. I love this card. The immunity is so important. Poison, Noxious Fume rule set is so common these days. Thorn is so nice. Reflection Shield is so huge. And of course it's going to have some sort of, the white team has that magic weapons trainer. Right? Yeah. Iziar has the magic weapons trainer with the taunt. So this is awesome. Like with Iziar, you've got the taunt, so you control that Iziar will die first because of the taunt, and then you're gonna be providing weapons training to Evelyn Alvera. So she's getting magic damage output, which I guess will only be 2, but still it's something. And then when this dies, you're gonna be but you know what? Because when this dies, it'll lose its weapons train ability. Interesting. So I almost don't like the synergy here because you bring Iziar to provide weapons training to Evelyn, but then Iziar is going to be the first to go, and then Evelyn's left with no damage output. but I like Evelyn as a standalone with all of that kit, the thorns, the inspire, the high armor working really well with Wraith. And then Avis Sturgis. Okay, you got weapons trainer over here too. Was I wrong about there being a weapons trainer on the? Maybe I was. Maybe I'm wrong about this. I thought there was a weapons trainer here. Oh, it was a martyr over here. Oh, that's yeah. Okay, so let's take a step back. So then you've got magic damage over here with your weapons trainer. That's going to impart to Evelyn. Now, it's not going to be a huge amount of damage. You got 3 damage. You're going to put 2 damage on your Evelyn. Still, I like this better. I like this. This is interesting. I don't love it. I would say Evelyn to me is almost by herself, like the standalone. And this is just a compliment, a cool compliment that you don't necessarily even need. Rust is so important. Divine Shield is so huge, especially for a low hit point guy. 6 mana feels a little expensive for what it's doing, but I guess the weapons training is it can't be cheap. So white team's amazing. And we talked about this, but I love that you're going to be able to taunt and know that your martyr is going down. And then in that, planning to have 2 monsters side by side this that are going to maximally take advantage of that martyr. So, what would that look like? I mean, from the white team, it's probably going to be either an archer or a magic monster, right? Probably. So because it's going to be, you're going to put the taunt magic monster in the back line or in the 5th spot. So then I don't know if I'd want to boost an archer. Ooh, you bring Pelacor Arbalist, get 1 more damage output times 2. That could be an interesting little bloodlust opportunity or a martyr opportunity. But then let's flip over to magic. And I think if you bring Time Meddler and put this in the 6th spot. Oh no, my bad, not Time Meddler. What's the one with Last Stand? Runemancer Atua, who people really don't like very much. You put this in the 6th spot behind that taunt, and you're gonna get 1 more magic damage output when the taunt goes down, and then you're gonna make it to the front position with not just 3 damage output, but 4. That goes Last Stand into 6. I think that really changes Runemancer Atuat's functionality. So the white team so far to me is the absolute king of soulbound reward cards. But I love 2 of the blues really a lot. I love 2 of the reds quite a bit. It goes white as for sure the winner, blue 2nd, red 3rd, and green a distant 4th so far. And we will go through black and dragon in a second, but I want to check in the chat. Bacteria in the front. Oh yeah, you could put Bacteria too. I didn't think about that. Yeah, because you could bring in. I've been imagining the magic. Sorry, I've been imagining the weapons trainer in conjunction with the other soulbound cards. But you're right. There's tons of other non-attacking cards like Bacteria, like Almo Cambio, like Gelatinous Cube that could slot in with any one of these weapons trainers. That's pretty cool. HL49, good to see you, buddy. Guys, check out his channel. For how long do you keep on streaming? Usually 2 hours. I'm going over here, but I want to finish all the Soulbound reward cards. Yeah, thanks for you're correcting me on the Martyr. The Owl has a weapon training. Thanks, buddy. Just beat Eli the Wise in ranked. Nice. Time and attention versus time and attention. Yeah, I saw that, Butters. Nice one. Wait, would Bloodlust give all Arbalist 4 attacks since it has double strike? No. It doesn't double your abilities. It doubles your stats. So Martyr would increase Arbalist. Let's go back there for a second. I think what I just told you guys might turn out to be something like a meta. I feel that confident about the utility there. So if you put that taunt we talked about from the Soulbound next to in the 5th position, and you put Pelacor Arbalist in the 6th position or the 4th position, it's going to go from 3 damage output to 4 damage output. And then you could have Sloan with this, making it 5 damage output times double strike, and the speed goes up, the hit points go up, etc. And so I think that could be a really, really useful benefitter from the taunt on the white, the new taunt soulbound with the Martyr. And then also the Atuat, the Runemancer Atuat, and what that'll do in the form of improving the damage output and thereby improving the last stand functionality from the Runemancer. I like that. And there's going to be other good ones. Like think about the Temporal Mage who has recharge and it has 3 damage output, but for 3 mana that turns into 6, and it would then be 9 damage output for 3 mana every other turn. Yeah. Time Master, anything with recharge is slept on too. Recharge is like, it's not good enough because it's in the second turn. I get it. But that could change. Maybe one day we get a summoner that affects how recharge works and it fires in the first turn and the third turn and the fifth turn as opposed to second, fourth, sixth, etc. Okay, we got to wrap up here. Let's keep going. We'll go through Death and Dragon, and then I'll check in with the chat one more time and see if there's any last things. So maybe 20, 25 more minutes, guys. Death, what are we? Okay. So I snagged some of the puppets, possessed puppets. Got the double strike again, melee damage output getting really high. This feels like that coastal one on the blue team, although it has far fewer hit points. It has cripple though, and that is just nasty because the cripple can be such a counter to these massive tanks with these huge hit points. So I like cripple a lot. I like the double strike a lot. I like the dispel. So great card. It's going to depend on the melee condition. I want to see this in an equalizer ruler set. I want to see it in a super sneak or a melee from any position, but I don't like this as much as I like that coastal whatever from the blue team. And they're very comparable in some sense, and yet this one ends up being second. Wily Coyotean. Cool artwork. Kind of looks like Guts from Berserk. It's got a huge sword and it's got the big shoulder. Okay, 2 mana, 2 damage, 4 speed, huge, hit points for 2 mana. This feels like a new kind of almost Pellicer Conjurer vibe, right? Because it's got significant tank potential with the phase ability. Now it's relatively slow, so the phase probably doesn't trigger all that much, but if you bring blind, if you bring swiftness, if you bring, other things, if you bring dodge in the form of astral entity, oh, yes, guys. Wily Coyotean. I like that one a lot, especially for 2 mana. That combination is, but the problem is in the Little League format, you'll say, oh, I want to use Wily, but then you can't use Astral to bring the dodge because Astral is a 6 mana summoner and you can't use 6 mana summoners in Little League. But I like this card a lot. This one is my favorite death so far. Ravenhood I like a lot because the protect and armor is so important. Plus death doesn't have a lot of protect. Doesn't have a lot of armor. You got to bring like neutrals, like there's a different archer who has protect. There's the alchemist or whatever the bear is called. It's small damage output, slow speed, relatively weak, but it brings these positive buffs that I really like seeing for 4 mana. I like that one a lot. It's not among the best soulbound cards I've looked at today, but on the death team, I like both of them that I've looked at, or all 3 of them looked at so far quite a bit. Will-O-Wisp, 12 hit points, flight, 4 speed, with the dodge from your astral entity, with the blind. Oh, guys, you better bring snare to the Will-O-Wisp fight or you're going to be in trouble. Because the snare would be 100% hit, even though there's blind, even though there's flight, even though there's dodge. Plus the nerfing. Man, this is a great card. Like it's probably one of the best off tanks maybe in the game. Because of its evasiveness, because of the fact that you bring a dodge with your summoner nowadays with the astral entity. Doesn't have a self heal, doesn't have phase, but it's still such a huge hit point. Is it better than Bakjira? Maybe not, but it's nearly as good. And it's an epic, not a Bakjira is a legendary. Skok Dusk Bright. What's your deal? Okay, you got the weapons trainer with the magic damage. You're going to be kicking out 2 magic. This guy looks like Skeletor. Skeletor from He-Man. Okay, you're kind of slow. You are slow. You're relatively low damage. The weapons trainer is cool, but not a huge deal because you don't do very much damage. Fury is always amazing. Resurrect is another amazing card. Like more Resurrects, right? Love it. So Resurrect makes that really good, but I'm like, I just don't love it. I don't like the weapons trainer with only a 3 damage output because it only leads to a 2 damage share on the Will-O-Wisp. Uset. What's your deal? Okay, so 10 mana, dude. What's going on there? Okay, let's see. 2 damage output. 3. Oh, you got Bloodlust? I don't think I've ever looked at this card. I don't know if I ever looked at this card. Okay, so 10 mana, 3 damage output, which is kind of low, but you've got Oppress, which is going to be so much more commonly, impactful. The Bloodlust is going to get crazy. If you were to play this in the right blast condition rule sets, this is gonna proc, and then it's gonna be nasty with the magic blasting and whatnot. Plus, it's a tank, dude. It's like a full out tank. It doesn't have taunt, but that's actually good. Wow, this brings the death team up a notch in the magic, in my mind, in a big way. Because one of the weaknesses here is the vulnerability around Giant Killer, but because it doesn't have taunt and because you can play it in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th position, it ends up being, hidden from those giant kills, probably. So I think this card's going to stick around for a long time. It's going to be doing massive oppress damage. It's going to be self-healing, so it's a good maybe sneak attack defender. It's quite evasive with the flight and the dodge, remember, from your new summoner. And Bloodlust is going to add up. This card is crazy. The amount of Bloodlust is coming to the game now, because of not just the gladiators and not just the common bloodlusters that are in the rank battles like Grum and Usat and whoever else, but and Jared Scar, but now the gladiator summoners, it's just going to change the game entirely. Like metas are going to be turned on their head, and that's just the bloodlust side. But there's the Martyr side and how that's going to rethink things. There's the weapons training and how that's going to change the meta. This game is so radically turning on in these huge ways. It's so exciting to watch. I hope you guys are feeling that. I'm pumped about it. So to me, Uset is like maybe it's at least in the top 3 of all of the soulbounds I've looked at. It's a tank. It's an off tank. You bury it at the back for sneak defense, and it's going to be this massive contributor. The oppress is going to be more and more powerful because of things like weapons trainer and how often cards don't attack. And it's got that self heal too with the big hit points in the armor. I love that card. Okay, now into dragon. Is this the first one? Dragon. Let's just go dragon. Yeah, it's just these two. Okay, this one I remember loving. Oh wow, I think they really nerfed this, didn't they? I feel like this had way more before. I don't remember what it had, but I remember loving this card, and now I think it's just whatever. Okay, let me think of this. Okay, you got 4 speed, you got no attack, you got no armor, you got relatively low hit points, but you're only 1 mana. You got the scavenge, which is going to add up. If you get 5 hit points, it's going to turn into 10 before it makes it to the first position. If you leave it in the right, if it's the 2nd or 3rd position to start with, it's going to make it to the front and it'll be a tank. So I love it for 1 mana. That's crazy. And then you get the redemption out of it. Plus theoretically, any one of those weapons trainers we talked about, that's really good. But it was way better. I forget what it used to have, but it was way better. So I love it because it's dragon, because it's 1 mana, because it's going to have 10 hit points by the time it makes it to the first position. But yeah, whatever it used to have was somehow better. And lastly but not least, Barrick's Snake Eye. he looks like the chromatic dragon. Like he's got like one color over here, a different color scale over here. It's like he's more than one dragon stitched together. And you get the weapons trainer over here with the archery output. So you could put this next to that one we just looked at. And because you got 4, you're going to be kicking out, you're going to be sharing, I think, 2 damage output with the other dragon we just looked at. I think might be 3. Slow, I don't love that. Good armor, good hit points, like that. You got true strike, so the speed doesn't necessarily matter. You got oppress, which I think is going to be really helpful. This is another beast. This to me is another huge beast. This one is gonna partner a lot with many of those other cards that I showed, but wasn't maybe so keen on their weapons trainer. So this weapons trainer is gonna step in and fill that niche. Now I don't love that it's archery. I would prefer if it was magic, but because it's archery, it actually has 4 damage output, whereas some of those magic weapons trainers only did 3. And so I think actually you're gonna end up sharing 3 archery. And then if you can bring a +1 archer with the dragon, there is that one. What's it called? There is a 1 summoner with a +1 dragon archery. So then you're sharing 5, and you're for sure gonna share 3. And that becomes interesting. Plus the true strike, and true strike is so important because speed has been so important. So just to wrap on that. I feel like the strongest ones, let me see. The strongest ones, I like Phyrexia from the fire. I don't think it's in the top 5 or top 3 of all the soulbounds. No, Pyre Devil Watch was number 1 from the fire for me. Because of the mana cost, because of all of its abilities, because of the life leech. Coastal Dragon probably, or Coastal Sentry probably, or Kulu because it's going to partner so well with the existing Deep Lurker meta. Yeah. Oh, Coastal Sentry. Coastal Sentry is number 1 from the blue. From the green team, we got to go with Thane Newsong with like not a tip of the hat over to Teratius because he's a good tank, but I like Thane for what he does for the mana that he is. And I don't love the green. I think green is the worst of all the soulbound. Not that they're bad, but it has the worst overall soulbound kit. White has the overall best soulbound kit. And the only one I really didn't love was Avis. Everything else here is amazing. Some of them are, maybe they're like, you've got to be careful about how you use some of them. But I think they're super powerful. So white, and this one is the only taunt with the Martyr. So that's really going to be, I think it's going to be, you're going to see that card be meta defining. From the death team, Wily Coyotean is so crazy for just 2 mana, especially when you add the dodge on there with the new summoner. The protect is really helpful from the Ravenhood, but he's relatively weak. Will-O-Wisp is very strong, but with no self-heal, I just feel as though I wouldn't be looking to it as like a primary consideration. Whereas Usat is to me in probably the top 3 of all these cards, of all of them, because of the self-heal, because of the huge hits, because of the bloodlust, because of the evasiveness with the, again, remember adding dodge in there. Just even though it's got relatively slow, it is slow, it's going to have 25% chance to avoid, plus a dodge is another 25% chance. So it's a 50% chance to avoid, plus it has heal, plus it has oppress. And this one is probably the best on the death team, but Wily is so good too in a totally different way with the 2 mana. That's just so good, considering like how many times you're gonna be able to play that. But Usat is my number 1 from the black. And then from the dragon, it's a bit tricky because they're both interesting. For 1 mana though, I really think you're gonna see 10 hit points out of this thing by the time it makes it to the front. And for 1 mana, that's potentially a real game changer. So, but this is cool too. And you're going to see synergies where this weapons trainer helps out some of your other teams that maybe don't have the best weapons trainer. So I don't know how to decide there, but that's what I think about these. I didn't even cover the neutrals. I did forget about neutrals. This is Clockwork Aid, speed, rust, huge armor. You're going to want to use that with the Grandmaster Wraith, Love it for 4 mana. Gobson Bomber. Somebody said this one was clutch. What was the deal here? Camo, recharge, potentially huge, crazy archery damage with the piercing and the fury. Dude, if you miss, though, that'd be so annoying. When you miss a recharge shot, it's so annoying. And archery can miss, and 5 speed can miss. Dumak Orc. I don't love the art there. The shield is cool. The retaliate is cool. The thorns, again, a nice partner for Grandmaster Wraith. Wraith and the white team are really running away with this with all under the new Soulbound sort of experience. I think they are the greatest benefactors. And possibly Sloan. General Sloan is seeing some interesting new things out of these Soulbound cards. Another Martyr for 3 mana with some archery damage, which is relatively limited. Snare and break. I don't love that. It's okay. You know, for 3 mana, you got to appreciate it, but it's not like an Uset. It's not like a double striking coastal, whatever, from the blue team. What do we got here? Multiple types of attack. You've got the double strike. Whoa, this is Drybone Raider. Makes me think of that dragon, double striker who has melee and archery. And this one has a good amount of hit points. It has armor. It's very slow, but the cripple is juicy. If there's a true strike rule set, because remember there's that rule set where everything hits and you don't miss your melee. I think that's an really interesting card to play there, because the speed will hurt you otherwise. And I would want to use it in a rear position because I don't want Giant Killer to delete me. It has no sustain or anything, so I like that a lot. Gobson's probably my favorite neutral. Or maybe Clockwork. But you'd need to use it with the Wraith because it's too weak heart-wise. So that's it, guys. Those are the my last review on the reward cards. They're amazing. I like what it's doing. It's bringing a whole new life to some of the cards that had no attack. It's bringing a whole new game style by bringing so much more bloodlust to the game. It's really going to transform the joy we're having here. So. And my hazy came over to say hi. So I'm gonna check in with the crowd, and then I'm gonna probably wrap up in 5-10 minutes. The Salty Bear, that's his name. Oscu, good to see you, buddy. Love Cripple, but I still don't use Dallin. Me neither. I think Dallin is a bit cheap though. Like for what it offers, for the price it costs, I think Dallin is worth our attention. Arbalest with Sloan and Martyr. Yep. Wow. That's the right answer. HL49 also got a double dripple resurrect with the life dragon team. Yeah. The amount of resurrects. Yeah. That's the thing too. You bring, juicy guys. Let's talk strategy with the death team. Cause was it the death team that had the go items, and then we go rewards, and we go just death, all cards. So no, it wasn't the death. It was the life team. So you've got the taunt that's going to attract your opponents, and it's going to die. And you're going to put this in the 5th spot next to the Arbalest and next to Runemancer Atua. That's my play. Runemancer Atua in the 4th position, Iziar in the 5th position, Arbalest in the 6th position. And then what's going to happen is you're going to die, and you're going to bloodlust, or you're going to martyr those 2 amazing cards, making your Arbalest kick out 4 and 4 if you didn't use Sloan, and then making Runemancer get a magic buff. And then you're going to bring Resurrects. You're going to bring 1 or 2 or 3 Resurrects in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd position. And theoretically, your Iziar is going to die 2 or 3 times, giving crazy benefits to Runemancer Atua and to your Arbalest. That is a play, guys. There's something there. Maybe it needs some work because you wouldn't want like just a weak old Resurrect card in the 1st position. But there's a way to do that maybe. That might really be powerful. You could also use Resurrects on life to get multiples. Yep. The recharge monster for death that nobody uses is blind. So maybe that with Astral Entity will be more be more played. That one I use, game cubing. That's like the only recharge one I regularly use. I think it's 5 mana, and I use it because of the blind, because I already play a real strong speed meta with the death team, using Nightmare in the first position, using some swiftness in the back and some slow, and then I bring that card for blind. And it's almost good that it has recharge because I don't want it to kill itself with a magic reflex. So I like that it fires every other turn, because my whole attack strategy is to let the Nightmare do the work and stay alive through evasiveness. Oscu, I like death cards too. Really cool cards at high levels. Yes. Like that dragon Uset is nasty. Yeah, death might have been the second strongest. The neutrals are probably the second strongest. I really, really like the white team in all of its soulbound cards, but then the neutrals, because the neutrals apply to so many different looks. But strangely, the white team benefits from soulbounds that are its own in the biggest way. In my opinion, the white soulbounds are the best from any one splinter. But then you look at the neutral soulbounds, and they actually play and lean into the life splinter approach. Armor first. Wraith will really appreciate those. So it's as if the white benefits from their own cards maximally in better than any other team, and then the neutrals help the white team the most. So I feel like the white team got the biggest buff out of these soulbounds. Weapons trainer for Riftwing. Ooh, and Will-O-Wisp. I like that. That's good thinking. 10 mana for 3 dog. Sheesh, expensive. Yeah, for 3 damage, I think you meant. But remember, it has Bloodlust, and it's got the self heal, and it's got good hit points, so it's like a tank. I think you're thinking of the death team, the Uset. Uset is probably my fave new ones, is Eli. But him in second or third, he is amazing. Yeah. HL49 Bloodlust and heal is going to be pretty strong. Bloodlust and heal, yes. Yeah, because the hit points will grow, and then your maximum heal will grow. Game cubing, very strong in reverse speed with Astral Entity. Did you guys hear about how reverse speed is going to change? Where Bloodlust, so far, Bloodlust has, when you have a Bloodlust monster, if it's in reverse rule set, the Bloodlust will not give you more speed. But now they're going to change that. So Bloodlust is being nerfed. You will receive more speed every time you kill. All of your stats will go up every time you kill, even when that hurts you. So more speed might be bad because rule set is reverse speed, but you're still going to get more speed. That's just how Bloodlust is going. So Bloodlust is getting nerfed. Oscu says, okay. Oscu plus flight plus evade. So good. Yeah. Dude, the amount of combinations between flight, blind, and dodge, that combo is going to get so much more common, which is going to make the speed meta all the more prevalent. And so I think we got to counter speed meta. I think we're going to see more True Strike in the future. Let's see if that's true. But I just feel speed has become so cornerstone. Evasiveness is now even more powerful. And so I feel like we got to see more True Strike or something else that really, Dispel could be part of that. Dispel, taking away some of the swiftness, taking away some of the slow or whatever, that could help. Yeah, and reverse speed, potentially flight, dodge, 1 speed, and bring a blind. Oscu, only good tank in low mana match. I think you're talking about the 2 mana from the death team, the Wily Coyote or whatever. Yeah, he certainly would be a good tank in low mana matches for sure. He reminds me of the 2 mana blue, which has shield and void armor. I forget what his name is, but he's a water team. Horace, thank you for all you do, Dwayne. Appreciate you, man. I've been buying cards like they are out of style. Dude, they are out of style. They're out of print, and they are going to go. That's the thing, man. That's the thing. Reward cards are up about 40 or 50% in the last, I'm going to say 4 weeks. And I can track my own reward value by looking at peak monsters and going into, my cards, and I go specifically onto rewards, and I can see that today my cards are worth $13,924 for just my rewards. And a couple days ago, there was like 9,800 or 10,000. So like over a few weeks, there's been a massive tick up in the prices of these cards. And if you can see it with cards like Heathsmith that were about a half a penny before and are now selling for over a penny. Are we able to buy 400 BCX for 1 penny? Like, look at this. Even though the bid is 1.1 and the low buy is 1.2, you're buying like low BCX copies. If you want to get into like the 400 copies, you're already up another 20% price. You see that? So it's like, you know, it might sound like not very much. Like it went from half a penny to a penny and a half. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. And with people like Matt coming out and saying, I am buying these cards, fair warning, don't complain at me when in the years they go up and I'm selling these, you know, hundreds of copies of Heatsmith or whatever. He's telling you that the owner of the game, the creator of this game, is in the marketplace now buying up these reward cards that are still relatively cheap. So I'm excited for that, and it's cool to see you are too, iHorse. Why they keep nerfing cards and giving them redemption? Yeah, redemption does feel like it's like kind of tacked on as like a, well, you've got this at least. And it does feel, I would say redemption is interesting in some situations. But I really only like it in super low mana matches. Bobby says, I would have preferred if Bloodlust remained Gladiator exclusive, especially now being able to use them in the ranks soon. That's interesting, but yeah, as Oscu points out, Dispel will really help in that. I don't like that you can play them in ranked, that in reverse speed Glad still, yep, that's what we're talking about, the speed going up. Oscu, oh, she took off. I'll tell her you said hi, Oscu. Bobby, Oscu, is that why Dispel started murking Scavenge? Yeah, Oscu got a buff. It's helping, it's taking away a lot of things now. And so did Oppress got a buff because we're going to see so many more. So there's so many changes. I don't know if you guys are really taking note of it all, but like cards that have no attack got a buff because they're going to partner with weapons trainers. Cards that have Oppress got a buff because weapons trainer is making those non-melee, those non-attack monsters more prevalent. Dispel helps more because Bloodlust is more prevalent and Martyr is more prevalent. Yeah, so there's just there's a whole meta change happening, and I don't know that we've fully understood it yet. Aaron Kennedy, good to see you. Long-time listener, first-time chatter. Appreciate it, bud. Thanks for coming and hang out. HL49, Summoner, then Resurrect, 1 monster taunt, 2 monster with your life stuff. So HL's talking about that white team that I talked about and using like Resurrect to maximally exploit the Martyr effect. I think that's really wise. That'd be an interesting play. Normal tank in front. Yeah, that probably makes sense. Dispel also cleansing Scavenge. Ooh, and Life Leech was a bug, but it will strip all Bloodlust stacks with 1 hit. That's going to be... See, Dispel, guys, we don't really know how important Dispel is until the Bloodlust start becoming more prevalent through the Gladiator summoners. And we're going to see more Bloodlust, and you're going to start to see how powerful that would be. And then you're going to wipe it away with the spell, and you're going to see that those cards appreciate, I bet. There's sometimes when you love a bug, and you're glad it's there, and then it gets taken away, and you're like, no. JPH loaned me his Nightmare for gold. Oh my god, I'm in love. Dude, Nightmare is amazing. Speed him up twice, and he'll last the entire battle. Yes, he does. If you bring Kitty with the Nightmare... and you know, a blind or something, like, good luck. HL49, Invalidated Blight, which is a super expensive card. That they could not do it. Dwayne, this Bloodlust change is already live. Almost missed a brawl game in last brawl because of this change. Yeah. I didn't know that, but I did hear today through, I think I was listening on Aftersound, somebody was saying, actually, I think it might have been Icy. He was saying that he submitted his brawl team and then he ended up losing because somebody submitted after when one of the changes took effect. Guys, I need to wrap up here. But thank you so much for the amazing comments and for the conversations. Amin was here. Astral. Oh, Mickey G, I haven't seen you in a while, dude. So much amazing support today, guys. Thank you for all of that. Thank you for hanging out for... was it almost 3 hours? I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna wrap. My throat's starting to hurt. Go spend some time with the fam. Have an amazing day. Oh, and please, before you go, drop a like on the video. And I'm gonna do one of these live a week, I think. Plus, I'm gonna do live weeklies with the members only. So if you want even more Splinterlands contents with me, consider getting involved on the community tab of the YouTube page. At any level, you're going to be invited to join those live events. Plus, you're going to receive a raffle ticket every single month that will have an opportunity to earn a plot of land for me this year. So thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you. Drop a like before you go. Have an amazing day. God bless.